What's going on, everybody, and happy Saturday. This is easily the thing I look forward to every single week, coming live every single Saturday with my amazing co-hosts and our amazing guests that we're able to get on these live streams. And we are here discussing the Falcon and Winter Soldier season finale. And we also have a couple MCU news we're going to tackle up top, some casting news, some trailers to talk about, and all that fun stuff. And listen, I could not be more happier to be talking about the news in the Falcon and Winter Soldier with the people we have on. So before I bring in my amazing co-host and our amazing guests, my name's Elliot. If this is your first time tuning in to Movie Files, this is where we talk about the latest MCU news, movies, casting stuff, whatever you want to name it in the world of comic books. We love to talk about it here. And I have such a great time doing so. So with that being said, guys, if you're watching this on the live stream, again, thank you for tuning in on this Saturday. Make sure you're liking the video, sharing the video, leave your thoughts in the comments. We're going to try to tackle as many of your questions, concerns, super chats. If you guys want to donate to the channel, be much appreciated. But we will definitely try to get you guys engaged in the conversation. And of course, if you're watching this on the replay, if you could do the same, it'll be greatly appreciated as well. So with that being out of the way, let me bring in my co-host who I'm so happy to be talking about these shows with them the last 4 months. The two co-hosts that I'll bring in here in a bit, and starting off with the first co-host, she has been a troop. She has been a supporter of this show, and I know that she has some things to say about this episode and the show as a whole. And I've been loving having this discussion with her every single week, and that is the one and only Amanda. What's going on, Amanda?
Hey, I'm so happy to be here. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. The voice is, I know you've been on some streams already today talking about this show.
I'll be clear. I'll be good. But I'm so excited to talk about the finale today with everyone that we have on, and with you, Elliot. I'm so excited.
It's been a journey, Amanda. It's been a 6-week journey that we got here. We got Sam Wilson, now Mr. Captain America, all the fun stuff that we got in this episode, and some news that we're going to break down too. And I'm so excited for you to be here, Amanda. But hey, if you want to let the people know where they can find you and what you're all about, stage is yours.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you guys can find me over at AMXND Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. You can find me over on YouTube at Candid Cinema, and you can check out my website, candidxcinema.com.
Very cool. I know tomorrow is tomorrow a big day for you, Amanda, with the Oscars and all that stuff too.
Yes, I'm already stressing for an all-nighter again. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot.
It's been a crazy weekend. Mortal Kombat, Invincible. I mean, it's just a great time to be in the geek kind of nerdum culture there. So a lot of good stuff to cover. So that is one of two of my amazing co-hosts. This other co-host here, this guy is my homie. I love his take on things. He wasn't with us last week, but he has come back to give us his thoughts on his favorite superhero, and that is Sam Wilson as Captain America. I'm talking about my man Chris from Tait. What's going on, man?
What's up? What's up with the fake news? What's good?
Hey, man, just excited to be here. We got a lot to break down, man. I'm so glad to have you back, my friend. Hey, if you want to let the people know, Chris, where they can find you and what your content's about, man.
Yeah, for sure. Happy to be here. Happy Saturday, everybody. If you're new here, he's not my favorite Avenger, but we'll get into that. You guys can find me at Tait's Take on YouTube. I'm sure all the information's in the bio. I do movie reviews, TV reviews, documentaries, try to give you a little background on the topic and just give you my take on it. So if you're into that sort of thing, you can subscribe. All my social is in my bio. So I got like my Instagram in there. I got my Twitter. I got my email in case y'all want to do some business. I got some inquiries in there. But yeah, hit me up. Let's connect. We got a good panel today, some people I never met, so I'm excited to see, what the conversation is going to go to. So this is good. Let's get it.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to see Chris just admit that Falcon is, or should say, Sam is the tattoo that he's gonna be getting on, later this year to rep his boy, man. But no, guys, again, Amanda and Chris, before we bring in our other co-hosts or other guests, man, I just want to thank you guys for coming in every single week, giving us your great opinions, joining the conversation from WandaVision to this, and hopefully we can continue this conversation because you guys are awesome. I couldn't be more happier to be having you guys every single week. So I thank you so much.
Oh, you're the best.
Sure.
No doubt. So
thanks for having us.
No doubt, man. No doubt. So we always like to try to bring in as many cool guests as we possibly can. And we have been so fortunate enough to have some amazing content creators on this channel. And that continues to do the thing today. This guest here, her first time making it on the channel. I had the luxury of being on her channel a couple weeks ago, and I plan on being on her channel tomorrow with her amazing other people that she has on her channel. She has so many great platforms on YouTube. She does a gaming channel, reaction channel. She has a great podcast. She has a great community on Twitter. I mean, I can't speak highly enough of this person, the one and only Christine. What is going on? How are we doing today?
I wasn't ready for that.
Hey, it's the truth. It's the truth, man. I'm such a big fan of your content.
Thank you so much for having me.
No doubt.
Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
It is my pleasure. Trust me. And Christina, for whatever reason, people aren't too familiar with your amazing content. If you want to let them know where they can find you and what you're all about, go right ahead.
Yes, like the beautiful intro that Elliot did, which covered almost everything. I do have a gaming channel, AyChristene Games. I also have a React channel, AyChristene, where I do reviews and I do reactions. I do have a podcast with other Black gamers, and we talk about pop culture and gaming. That's Party Chat Podcast. I'm sure there's a link that'll lead you to the rabbit hole of all the crazy stuff that I do down below. But yeah, you can find me AyChristene on Twitter and Instagram. And yeah, I think that's everything.
No doubt. Do yourself a favor, ladies and gentlemen. All these content creators, all their links are in the bio, but definitely check her out because you won't be disappointed. I can't wait to have the conversation that we're going to have tomorrow. And I got my suit pressed and all that stuff.
Oh, yes, the Oscars. We're doing the Party Chat Oscars tomorrow, and I'm excited. It's
going to be a good time. So this next guest here, I've had the luxury of having him on the channel for the first time a month ago when we talk some DC stuff. I love this guy's energy. I love his positive energy, his takes on movies. He's just a great guy to interact with. And I'm telling you all, if he comes out with a rap album, because he's the hype man. I mean, he gets you hyped. I'm so excited to have him on the channel once again. And that is KolbyMac. What's going on, my friend?
Yo, what up? It's your boy KolbyMac, and I'm back on Movie Files. Yeah.
Yes, sir. How we doing, man?
Yo, I'm doing great, brother.
Hey, I'm so glad to have
Saturday.
you on.
I can't complain.
Hey, man, I'm so glad to have you on. I follow this man, ladies and gentlemen. Again, follow all these content creators, but Kolby's such a great follow on Twitter. I've seen some of his takes on Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'm so excited to hear it on camera, live in the flesh, if you want to call it that, visually speaking. So I'm so excited to have you on, man. But hey, Kolby, people aren't too familiar with your content, man. Where can the wonderful people find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, y'all better get familiar. Yo, you can follow your boy. I'm on all the socials at Kolby Told Me on Twitter, Instagram. If you're into TikTok and Clubhouse, I am there too. So when they ask you where you heard it from, you can tell them Kolby told me.
Yes, sir. Do it, guys. Again, all the links are in the bio. These guys are phenomenal. And last but not least, this is the second time he's been on the Falcon and Winter Soldier discussion. He was on our WandaVision discussion, and I loved this man is an encyclopedia when it comes to comic book stuff. I love his energy. I love his YouTube channel. I love the fight that he has right now with TikTok, who just continues to just not respect his content. He has so many great things to say. I'm so happy to have him back on again. And I'm talking about the one and only Michael from Black Geek Comic. What's going on, my friend?
Hey, how's it going, man? You had to bring up my trauma with TikTok already.
Yeah, man, I'm right there with you. Like, what's going on? This man has the best content on TikTok, and they keep bringing my man down.
Yeah, like I posted a video this morning, and it's still not up. It's still under review. Like, actually, right as I was backstage, I literally just got a notification that a video I posted 27 hours ago finally got approved, and it was about the Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like, at this point, I'm ready to stop posting on TikTok. Like, it's annoying. But regardless,
you still put out the great content.
The trauma,
man.
I'm excited to be here always, Elliot. I appreciate you being the Nick Fury of YouTubers, bringing all these people together. I'm excited to network with all these new people, Christine and Kolby, and I know Griff is coming here later. I'm excited to finally meet Griff because Griff's channel is actually how I met you and got acquainted with your channel. So I'm excited to have this conversation. So.
No doubt, man. But hey, Michael, if you want to let the people know where they can find you, including TikTok, even though TikTok's trying to put you in TikTok prison or whatever you want to call it.
Put me in the raft. My name, as you can see on the Chiron below, Black Gay Comic Geek. You can find me anywhere on social media with that name. I'll have YouTube. I mostly talk about movies, comics, everything with the fantasy, sci-fi, superhero genre. If I'm interested in it, I'm talking about it. So my last video just dropped about Mortal Kombat. And so, just check me out. Twitter, all of that, all of those places.
You will not be disappointed, and I love your taste and stuff, Michael. Especially when it comes to Buffy. I know you were such a big Buffy fan as I am. I'm a big fan as well. Sci-fi. I love the stuff you pull out from the comic book stuff. Again, guys, Michael, Kolby, Christine, of course, Amanda and Chris. Check them out. You will not be disappointed. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen. So we got some news to tackle, but before we do so, we got a lot of wonderful people in the chat saying what's up to everybody, and I definitely want to acknowledge them, saying what's up to them. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, we're going to try to get to as many of your comments as possible, but we're going to have a good time on today's discussion, guys. So again, thank you so much for joining in. So first thing on the agenda in our MCU weekly news week recap, we got a couple big things to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. We got a new trailer, and that trailer is for Shang-Chi, which we're going to talk about our thoughts here, but I want to start with you, Amanda. Excitement level before the trailer and excitement level after the trailer. And then we're going to play the trailer here in a bit, but just your initial thoughts.
I was probably sitting at like a 6.5, a 7 before the trailer. But then when the trailer came out on Simu Liu's birthday, and he's a fellow Canadian, so I was just like screaming. I was so happy that they did that for him. But that trailer, I was blown away. It looks so good, and that's just the teaser. That was just a teaser. It was insane. I love the fight choreography. It looked so clean and polished, and I'm just really excited for him, and I'm excited for this movie. That title card alone just gave me chills. I literally got goosebumps, so I'm pumped. I'm sitting at like a 10 out of 10 right now.
Chris, tossing it to you, man, before we play this trailer here in a bit. Your excitement level before you saw the trailer and then after seeing this teaser, man, where are you at with it?
Yeah, my excitement was because I don't know the story, so I was like excited to hear like a new Marvel story, new to me, I should say. So it's already like high, like I just trusted that it'd be good. But the trailer, I was like, oh, this is like a well done trailer. Like this shit is legit. I stand for Awkwafina. I don't know if that's weird, but I do. So I'm always happy to see her. Yeah, I'll never be known was cool or not. So whatever, I just say what I say. But I love the trailer, and I like that it was different enough from Mortal Kombat, so it was like a different lane. It's like, you know, it was doing its own thing. But also, in all fairness, I'm the only YouTuber that hasn't seen Mortal Kombat yet, so please,
I haven't either. Okay.
I got a ticket in Dolby Theater in New York City for Monday night, so y'all can just keep that on the low.
2 days.
Dolby. But yeah, dope trailer.
Nice. Christine, same question for you. Before you got the teaser that we're going to play in a little bit, where were you at? And then after seeing this, is the excitement level higher or right around the same?
I would say higher because so I watched I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name properly. So Mr. Liu, okay? He plays Jung in a show called Kim's Convenience. And I freaking love that show. So when I heard that he was going to be a part of the Marvel Universe, I was super excited. But it was a 7 because I didn't know anything. I'm not familiar with the storyline or anything, but after seeing the trailer, I'm definitely at a 10. But and I was excited also that it was a teaser that came out on his birthday.
That's pretty dope.
I'm super happy to see him in something else. And since Kim's Convenience recently got canceled, at least I can still enjoy him in other ventures.
He is such a great follow on Instagram and Twitter. I haven't watched Kim's Convenience, but I heard everyone that I know watched it, loves that show. And he might not be a household name now, but he will be, no doubt, especially after this film comes out. But Kolby, man, same question for you, man. Excitement level before you saw the trailer and where you're at after seeing the trailer.
So we're gonna watch the teaser, right?
We're gonna watch it, my friend.
Because I haven't watched it.
Oh, okay. So first time reaction. Okay.
I don't know. Like, so my guy, shout out to Kevin Brackett. Like, he's just been like more and more putting me on to like not watching trailers. So like unless it's like super pressing, I'm not looking for it, right? Like just let it just let it come. You know, if I stumble upon it, I got it. But like, no, I'm excited to get like, you know, my honest first reactions right here.
Awesome, man. We're gonna play that thing in a little bit. And I'm kind of on the same boat with you, Kolby. I do appreciate a good trailer what's supposed to do a job, give you the tone and give you a little bit, like, you know, Zack Snyder's a great trailer. When he cuts his trailer, I think they're great. Christopher Nolan. So I'm on the same boat because a lot of these trailers, man, they show you the beginning, the middle, the end, and sometimes post-credit scenes. But Michael, man, your excitement level before and then after seeing this teaser, and then we're going to play it just in a little bit, ladies and gentlemen.
I was super excited for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings before we got the trailer, mostly because I was really hoping that this movie does for Asian Americans what Black Panther did for Black people. And so finally they're getting that representation. So I was excited about that. And plus, even though I never really read that much of Shang-Chi, I knew certain things about his character from other characters that I read around him. And so just the idea of him being the master of martial arts, I was just like, okay, I want to see a great action martial arts Matrix type of movie. And then plus I saw Just Mercy, who was directed by Dustin Daniel Cretton, who's directing this, and I like and I really like that movie too. That movie had me crying. Okay. So because of that, it got me excited. And then once the trailer dropped, I was like, take all my money. Like it had me hella hyped. And then the fact that you could like see like they had a wide pan and you can actually see all the movements of the fight choreography. I was like, give me all of this, all of it. Like I slurp it up.
I'm right there with you, man. I was already excited for this film. There you go, man. I was already excited for it, and this got me even more excited. And kind of, we've talked about it enough, ladies and gentlemen. I got the teaser trailer here. Hopefully, the YouTube people don't, flag it or whatever the case may be. But if you guys are ready, and by the way, this is KolbyMac's first time seeing this, ladies and gentlemen. So keep an eye on Kolby while we're watching this trailer. So let's do it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's check out Shang-Chi.
I gave you 10 years to live your life. Now you see me rise. And where did that get you? You walked in my shadow. I trained you. So the most dangerous people in the world couldn't kill you. Son, it's time for you to take your place by my side. You better watch out, 'cause it's my time. That's not going to happen. It's a new era, yes, I come alive.
Let's go.
Outrun who you really are.
Yes.
Let's go. Then that's it. Come on.
Yes. Literal kill. I can't. Yes.
We make a good team.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen.
She did that for you, Chris.
September 3rd. Yeah.
All right.
There you have it, September 3rd, later this year. I mean, I don't know about you all, but I feel like going outside, kicking someone in the throat. This got me so hyped. This trailer, this music. I think Michael touched on it, how, the Black Panther kind of similarities. The first, I don't know if you guys remember the first trailer of Black Panther kind of had a similar kind of upbeat type of music to it, a little voiceover by Claw, and we got the Mandarin voiceover, which the Mandarin's his dad, which is definitely not a comic book thing, but that's a very interesting thing that they're playing into. So listen, Kolby, I want to start with you, my friend. What'd you think?
That was a damn good trailer.
Yeah, like, pretty dope, man.
I can definitely see how Black Panther has impressed upon the production of this film.
Yeah.
When you look at it, it's like this, like really this MCU mix of like a Asian epic mixed with like Crazy Rich Asians and then also Black Panther. And I'm like, if I'm gonna get that, I grew up on action, like karate films. Like I remember watching Jackie Chan's First Strike, Rumble in the Bronx, Who Am I? Like it gives me feels like that. Like you talked about with the wide shooting of this, no quick cuts. We're going to be fully relying on like the performances from these amazing choreographers and stunt coordinators. And then like, my dude's like, so I don't have no idea who this lead actor is. I know him from nothing. And like his voice is super American. Win from Marvel, like they can, if they pretty much like it's perfect. It's oh my gosh, I'm really excited.
It's looking great, man. And Christine, your take on seeing this yet again and just kind of expectation level for this film after seeing this awesome trailer.
So I'm so I do agree with the Black Panther vibes. I think the song that they used for Black Panther was a Vince Staples song, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
In their teaser, the trailer that they had. Definitely the same type of color scheme. It was like dark. You have your purples, you had your neons, and then the beat, just like the bass, the 808 at the end, while you have the title card show up and everything. So definitely similarities there. Like I said, I'm super excited to see his character's name was Jung, so that's what I will call him. Jung in Marvel. I'm really excited, and I'm happy for the shirtless scene. Not gonna lie, he was glistening. It was beautiful.
Agreed.
Yes.
Hey, that's like a Marvel
I need more of those. Like he needs the whole movie.
It was nice. And we haven't had one since I think Thor Dark World was maybe the last one we might have had. With the glistening, shirtless
Ragnarok.
Oh,
yeah.
Wait, yes.
Ragnarok.
I forgot. Thor in Endgame was not Ragnarok Thor, but we won't talk about that. Well, that's another conversation for another day. But like I said, I'm super excited to see this movie. When he was punching the tree or the log that was in the temple, it really took me back to Daredevil. Season 2, when you had the flashback of what was her name again? Elektra, when she's like fighting and stuff like that. But it took me back to the hand and all of that. So I don't know how involved they may be in this story. It could be two separate, complete things, but
I hope really involved. There's something about this particular world that seems like a great jumping off point to be able to migrate a lot of like the MCU Netflix stuff. And to kind of bring it in there, like there's a groundedness to it, and somehow I still kind of believe in this fantastical world. Like I feel like it's a great intermediary between the world that Black Panther gives us and their Daredevil Netflix world mixed in. Like I can see, I'm telling you, I know that Iron Fist. It was not a great. It was a horrible season 1. It was a okay season 2. I feel like just bringing him in there and bringing my girl back. What's her name? Oh goodness gracious.
I can't remember her name. It's been so.
But you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, there's this world. I want all of it. Like, I'm thinking about just like every future movie, and like, I do know a little bit of like what the 10 rings are, like these space ring dragons, and like,
Yeah, I mean, and to that point, the 10 Rings, last time we saw them, I think they had a little bit of influence, maybe in Ant-Man, but definitely in Iron Man 1, and, they seem like they back, and this is the real Mandarin. Tossing it to you, Michael.
You'll never see me coming.
Yeah, Ben Kingsley. I would love to see Ben Kingsley in this film and him being taken out by the real Mandarin for impersonating him. But, Michael, man, your take on this trailer and also just kind of this new origin story of sorts of him being the father or the son of the Mandarin, which is very unique.
I'm like, throw everything with Iron Fist and all that stuff away. Keep Daredevil and Jessica Jones. But everything else, put that
in the trash.
Put it in the trash. But like everything about this, like the music and the 808 and the just the drum beat, the pounding, like it just had me hyped. Like all the fight choreography, like I'm just super excited. And then finally we get an actual idealized real version of the Mandarin. And I'm curious to see what they end up doing with the Mandarin and how, if they incorporate, because his rings, the 10 rings that he has, they're magical based. So I'm like, I wonder, could that possibly connect a little bit to Doctor Strange? And then the lady that you saw, in the green, as you're skipping through the skipping through the slides, like there's a picture of actually Colleen Wing as Lady Iron Fist with that out right there in that green outfit. So I'm like, so are they trying to bring in some Iron Fist lore? Is that a retcon? Like, or is that because it looks like it takes place in the past? So
like a little flashback. Yeah.
So I am wondering what they're gonna do with that. But everything surrounding the trailer just has me super excited. But to be a little bit of a Debbie Downer, there is something. There is some afterthoughts that I found out a little bit about this movie that I was like, no, please don't do this to me.
I know where you're going.
Sweet summer child, please don't do this to me.
Is it the writer?
Yes, I found out that the writer of this movie is the same writer that did Wonder Woman 1984.
Oh,
okay, that's fine.
And he did Mortal Kombat.
Oh no, really?
Yes.
Wait. Hold on.
We won't discuss Mortal Kombat.
Chris hasn't seen it quite
I
yet.
know there's 2 writers on Mortal Kombat. I'm just depending on which
Yeah.
one it is.
To be fair to, I would say to be fair to with 84, there was Patty Jenkins and another writer.
I still have hope. I still have
Yeah.
hope, but I'm like, but the fact that he's attached to, I was like, oh gee, baby, please, like Kevin Feige, like step in, holy God, Kevin Feige,
Spider-Man too. I think he's on Spider-Man No Way Home, if I'm not mistaken. So he's I'm so sorry, he's actually listed for Into the Spider-Verse as one of the writers. So he's getting some work. Hollywood must like this guy.
But if he did Into the Spider-Verse, that was an amazing.
No, he's
working on the
he's
sequel.
working on
the second one.
on the one to come. Oh no, please.
Well, thank God Tim Powers is there.
Please don't taint it.
But I have faith in Marvel, but just just still, that just raised my ire a little bit. My hackles.
We'll see. Fingers crossed, man. And before we go to Amanda's and Chris take, I do have. I thought this was really funny. Just kind of his journey to getting this role as far as Simu Liu, and this is in 2014, the first one. Hey, Marvel, great job with Captain America. Would love to see some Asian Americans in the MCU. And then you guys can see on the next tweet that he had. When we gonna talk about Shang-Chi, and hey, this is a perfect example of speaking things into existence.
Right?
I
said what I need to do.
Manifesting.
I need to do this.
That is some.
Let me tweet. Oprah.
$1 million.
Send me some money.
I would like $1 million, Marvel.
Well, no, I want to be in the next. I could be a Dora Milaje adjacent, character.
Call it out,
I could be in Wakanda.
Speak it into existence. But Chris, man, throw it to you, my friend. Your thoughts on this teaser trailer and your anticipation level with this film, man.
Definitely excited. I mean, the writing thing. I mean, my man trying to bring my energy down. It's all good. But I think. I mean, it came. I saw it on a big screen at my house, but then I think maybe the music came in crazier today. So I was like, yo, this shit is fire. So I thought it brought it up a little bit. It looked dope. And you get a little bit of that Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon in 2021 type energy. So I was like, yeah, cool.
Amanda, wrapping it up. Shang-Chi, we looking good. We're looking good.
I'm still excited. I'm so hyped. Honestly, I just want the fight choreography to be amazing. That's what I'm looking forward to the most. And in the teaser alone, it looks wicked. So that's what I'm really pumped for.
Yeah, I want to see. We haven't gotten really good hand-to-hand combat in the MCU besides like the Captain America franchise, Bucky and Cap in the streets, and obviously Civil War. But everything else, like Spider-Man, for example, he doesn't fight people. He's slinging around and all that stuff. And Thor is not really fighting hand-to-hand. So the martial arts aspect gets me really excited. We talked about the director of Just Mercy, Short Term 12. I love that Marvel's bringing in these small, Chloe Chow and Kate Shortland's doing, Black Widow. So they're doing these independent directors that do a good job with like characters, and then they're allowing them to have the MCU budget to kind of back it up. And I think the MCU is going to help them guide them through the kind of the action beats that they might not be familiar with their smaller independent films. So, hey, this is just a teaser. So imagine when we get that full trailer, and of course when we get the film later in September, which is an interesting date. I don't know if we've ever really gotten like a big Marvel DC project in September. Of course, we know it was pushed back, but that's an interesting date.
It's a weird time, especially with school. Like you're in that limbo period of school returning, but traditionally you wouldn't put a blockbuster there.
Yeah. So hopefully, like Michael said, going back to the Black Panther comparisons, I hope that it gets crazy box office receipts for they can continue this franchise, other characters in the MCU that we're not too familiar with, and give us some diversity in the MCU.
And they probably looked at it too at an international release day too, like maybe like Chinese.
Yeah,
like, they don't care about Labor
that's
Day,
what I was thinking.
So it might have worked good for them, and they're really banking on that dollar over there.
And plus, I was going to say, like, we'll see, especially, with his age of COVID and everything not being the way it seems. And plus, even before that, like, the typical blockbuster release schedule has been changing really in the last couple of years. Like, nobody will put a movie in February, but yet you got movies like Black Panther and everything making more, other release months. Like, I think there was a blockbuster movie that came out in January, I think, if I remember correctly. So it's like, release dates. It was put out in September, and that made a huge amount of money. So
never know.
I hope it does well. It's looking good, and I hope it continues that momentum because that first teaser, as you all can see, is fantastic. So we got some other MCU news in the world of casting. I don't know if we have any Game of Thrones fans on the panel today, but Khaleesi, the Mother of Dragons, has
Yes.
made her way to the MCU, and now she's teamed up with, we got Kit Harington in Eternals, as well as Richard Madden, and I think there's like 6 other cast members that have made their way in the MCU, Dinklage and a bunch of other characters. So starting with you, Amanda, Secret Invasion. I know we talked about it a couple weeks ago with Benedict Kingsley Benedict being casted, and now we have Emilia Clarke and also apparently Olivia Colman, an Oscar nominee, being in this. I mean, this show is shaping up to be something special. What's your thoughts on this, Amanda?
I don't have any like expectations for Secret Invasion, but the cast is just, it's getting stacked. Like, this is awesome, and I'm just happy Emilia Clarke is getting work, to be honest, and that she's in the MCU, and that it's going to be something solid and fun for her. And then Olivia Colman is just incredible. So yeah, my hype, I'm getting more into it as the days go on. I just want to know what the hell's happening in Secret Invasion, and then I'll be sold. So there we go.
It's a lot of, it's a pretty big comic book run, and it's obviously going to be a TV series versus a movie, which I think would work out for the benefit because there's so many things going on in that comic book. And obviously there's some things that they won't be able to do because some characters are not in the MCU anymore, which brings me to you, Chris. Your take on this cast, I guess anticipation level for this show, and your thoughts on Emilia Clarke, Mother of Dragons, being the MCU, man.
I don't know what the Mother of Dragons is.
You don't want Game of Thrones? No Game of Thrones left?
You don't want Game of Thrones?
A little bit of pain. A little bit of pain.
Look, y'all want the real me? Can I bring my authentic self to y'all? Thank you. I've never seen Game of Thrones. One day, maybe in the next pandemic when I'm at home for a year, I'll get into it. But besides that, like, I know everyone else in this cast, like, so I think it's great. Olivia's always been dope in the stuff that I've seen her in. This dude, my man from High Fidelity, he's always good.
Yeah,
so
man.
I'm excited for to learn more about the that world. We got that little taste with Captain Marvel and all that. So I think it's a great storyline to explore more.
Christine, we got this cast. They got my man Sam Jackson on television for 6 hours. Sign me up. And then plus this is just a bonus with these other new additions. But your take on Secret Invasions and what you would like to see in this show and this cast.
So I'm not really familiar with Secret Invasion, like what the storyline is going to be. I know that this is going to kind of, carry off of Captain Marvel. I know that that's going to kind of tie into this. I'm excited to see Nick Fury. We haven't seen him for a while, so I'm excited.
Yeah, he's been hiding out in space.
Yep, as we saw at the end of the last Spider-Man movie. So I'm excited to see what he's been doing, what's been going on, how's he been hanging.
Right.
I'm really, really excited to see Kingsley. The only thing I've seen him in was OA season 2, and even though the show was kind of like what I've heard Lost is, where the storylines are great and then the ending you're just like, what, type of situation. But I loved his character in the OA. So I'm excited to see him.
One Night in Miami.
One Night in Miami is really good.
Okay.
He's excellent. Yeah.
I haven't seen that. Yeah. I've been meaning to see it, but life is crazy. I definitely need to put that on my docket.
He was my favorite in One Night in Miami. I think he was my favorite.
You say he wasn't?
No, he was my favorite.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, he was. Yeah, that whole cast was.
Played Malcolm X. He's phenomenal.
I gotta see it. Yeah. I also love. I'm excited to see Emilia Clarke again. Daenerys was a great role. Game of Thrones, Chris, if you get a chance to watch it, just watch everything up until the last season. The last season, you don't really need to watch. Just let your mind wander and where the storylines go. The last season, maybe up until episode 3. After that, just don't, just quit. But
I got you.
I'm excited to see her. I saw her in another movie that she had. I can't remember the name, but it was this
the Christmas movie.
No, I didn't see the Christmas movie. I saw the other one.
Me Before You?
Yes.
The romantic.
Where she was helping out the guy.
The guy is
Yes, I cried. I was watching that on a treadmill, mind you. And then my husband comes in. He's like, what happened? And I was like, this movie is so sad. I was just crying. So I was happy to see her in something else. So I'm excited. And is it confirmed that these are going to be hour-long episodes?
I think Kevin Feige said that this was. I don't even know if this has been confirmed yet, but I think it should be probably that 45 to an hour, like low key in Falcon and Winter. So I would like Michael said, I would think because 30-minute episodes of like this big story wouldn't make that much sense. So
$25 million damn dollars an episode. It better be, right?
They better like they need to and stop this 6 episodes.
Yeah, like they didn't stop.
Give me 8 to 10.
Yeah.
Do
Yes.
10. You're like
the
you,
game
you're
plan.
the shows. I know we're gonna go into Falcon, and
Mhm.
WandaVision was also affected by this. I think
Yeah.
characters don't get proper fleshing because they have to squeeze so much story into a short amount of either time with WandaVision with their 30-minute or 20-minute episodes, and then on Falcon with 6 episodes, I think some characters kind of lose, and it could have been such a great storyline. So
we'll get to Falcon. Yeah.
And cut out the 7 minutes of credits. Like,
oh,
Yeah,
come on.
like what the
Hey,
hell?
I guess-
both
That
shows.
part.
Yeah.
That
I
part,
guess,
that
there's
part.
some showing some love to the people behind the scenes, 6 minutes worth of love, but yeah.
Go fast.
Go
If
fast,
I want to
man.
read it, I'll slow down.
Kolby, man, tossing it to you with this cast, Secret Invasions, just to kind of, for those, we're dealing with Skrulls, as Kevin Feige said when they announced this show, that this is the Skrulls taking over every level of like government and high power. So we're going to be seeing some people that we thought were heroes, maybe be villains and vice versa. So Kolby, man, thoughts on Secret Invasion in this cast?
This is more like the secret retcon, right? So when we get to Falcon and Winter Soldier, I've got problems with Phase 4, and I don't necessarily know where this particular show is going to take place inside the continuity of the MCU, right? But let's say it takes place sometime in between Captain Marvel and then Avengers: Infinity War, right? I'm not the biggest fan of taking the things that set up a universe, the rules that you've established, and then breaking them with trying to shoehorn in like another property to kind of like either try to tweak things or say, oh, you know what, that didn't work. I'm not the biggest fan of that, right? However, when it comes to Emilia Clarke in this cast, you better not put her in prosthetics makeup. Like, I will be so offended if she's green. All right, like you can leave that for.
She might be the Queen.
Yeah, I'm thinking. That's
Scroll.
what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
please no, that's such a waste. Like, I mean, honestly, the biggest waste is that she didn't end up being Queen Mira with Khal Drogo and Aquaman. Like that's a huge missed opportunity. Like, and now it's forever confirmed that that's just not gonna happen.
Yeah,
but
Amber's back. Yep,
I know, but you know what? It's good. I mean, I'm excited for all of these performers. Like, they're all really, really good. And I'm not going to say that the MCU hasn't let me down, because I've had my expectations dashed.
Yeah.
But truly, they have not delivered anything that's just like blatantly bad. So my expectations are, just please don't try to do too much, just give us something good. Let me buy into this world. Let me like really believe the conflict, and let me really believe in the stakes.
Yeah, well said, man. It's tossing to you, Michael, wrapping us up with this casting and your thoughts on who she could be playing. Also, I guess another character could be, she might be the friend of Monica Rambeau, the little girl, the little squirrel girl that she befriended. That could be a character she might be playing as well. So your thoughts on all that, Michael?
I mean, yeah, that's true. But I'm like, but you don't cast Emilia Clarke, Daenerys Stormborn of the House Targaryen, first of her name,
first
the unborn Queen of the Andals and the first of men, Khaleesi of the Great Brass Sea, Breaker of Chains, and the Mother of Dragons. Make her be the Queen of the Skrulls. So I'm really hoping. I mean, I'm hoping that's what she is. But and of course, you got Ben Kingsley, who played Malcolm X and One Night in Miami. Like, he was great. He was one of the best actors. Granted, not to say all the other actors weren't good, but he was one of the best actors in that movie. Yeah. So I'm really excited and curious to see where they go with Secret Invasion, because for the most part, what we've seen in the MCU's version of Skrulls aren't villains,
right?
But in Secret Invasion, in the comics and things, they're villains. So I'm curious to where. And plus, it's such a huge storyline in the comic. It encompasses like every single run of the comics, and then with this only being a TV show, I'm like, it's kind of small, especially only 6 episodes, and so I'm wondering what they're gonna do with Secret Invasion. That's really what what I'm wondering.
It's a great point you bring up, and I think they said the show is coming before. It'll probably be a precursor to Captain Marvel 2, and we might get more into a Secret Wars and the Skrull versus Kree War. But it'll be really interesting to see the placement of the show and how they tackle the storyline. And I guess we're going to be getting more and more of the Skrulls implemented in the different MCU shows. We didn't get them in Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I thought that was going to be the power broker maybe as a Skrull, but we'll talk about that. But we did get a Skrull appearance in WandaVision. I could definitely see Skrulls being maybe involved in the court system with She-Hulk. Hawkeye maybe get some Skrulls in the mix, kind of leading up to it. So we'll see. But again, this cast, I mean, Marvel yet again, and all the Marvel DC, they cast these mega stars, these Oscar winning type of stars. They want to be a part of these superhero contents, and I'm excited to see what they have to offer in that. So let us know in the chat, guys, your excitement level for the Mother of Dragons, as well as the Olivia Colman being potentially in the running to star in the show as well. So before we jump to the Falcon Winter Soldier, we have one more news tackle to talk about here, and I want to talk about Mr. Russell Crowe on a podcast telling people, just casually saying, oh yeah, I'm going to be shooting, a movie, Thor 4, and I'm playing Zeus, which kind of breaks the mold of what we kind of can look forward to in this fourth Thor film. Starting with you, Michael. Zeus, we're talking gods, which makes sense. We're talking Gorg, the god killer. He's trying to kill off the, the Greek gods and obviously make his way to Thor. Your thoughts on this casting news, man?
I'm gonna give Russell Crowe, because he's been in the business for a long time. I'm gonna assume somebody gave him some permission to drop that news. But yeah, Zeus, I'm excited. I'm curious to it's all the same thing. Like, I'm curious to see what they do with Zeus in the MCU, because even with the way they depicted Odin in the MCU, like Odin was severely depowered in the MCU than he is versus his comic book counterpart. So to introduce Odin in there, I'm mostly excited. I mean, Zeus. I'm mostly excited that hearing the name Zeus, I'm like, does that mean we're gonna get Hercules? Because Hercules is a big comic character in comics. And just to throw this out there, because I saw a lot of people saying the same thing about Hercules, but a big thing that was missing out of the conversation. But that's why you got me bringing representation in there. Hercules is one of the few male bisexual characters in comics. So I'm like, Marvel, don't straight wash him if you do that. So we'll see. I'm excited about that.
The Hercules thing you just mentioned there, Michael, gets me excited because there's been some casting rumors out there for my fans of DC, Amanda, and as well as Kobe. Henry Cavill. Some people are fan casting Henry Cavill as Hercules, which would be. Listen, I love him.
I mean, that'd be great. Yeah.
I mean, Russell
he's my
Crowe.
Superman, but they're wasting him right now in the DC. So Marvel, they looking for a Hercules maybe. But tossing it to you, Kobe. We got Russell Crowe dropping this news that he's playing Zeus. And again, if I am to theorize, this makes a lot of sense that the Gorg, the God Killer, who's played by this cast, played by Christian Bale, is probably going to try to take out these other Greek gods and make his way on to Thor. But your excitement level for Love and Thunder and seeing Russell Crowe as Zeus.
Yo, Love and Thunder needs to be a 3-hour epic, to be honest.
For real, man.
Like, it's because it seems like I'm like Natalie Portman's supposed to be the quote unquote star of this movie, right? And I'm like, there's a lot of stuff going on. So I really want to make sure that this focuses on James Foster's transformation, into Thor, right? Because as far as we know, Thor's an Asgardian of the galaxy right now, but it really would be great to kind of get some type of buddy comedy between him and Hercules. I hear there's a lot of that inside the comic books. And wow, Henry Cavill can be great as Hercules. Why not cast the other Hemsworth, Liam?
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of his acting, but yeah. Let's see.
He's not bad.
He's not that bad.
He's like the other Hemsworth. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, they could do the other Hemsworth,
They could,
Westworld. They could do the other one.
Just get everyone together.
He'd have to stand on like 2 apple boxes, but
Yeah, we'll see who if the brothers make his way into the MCU. But toss it to you, Christine, regarding this news of Zeus, and dive into more to the Greek mythology and gods and god killers and Thor and Lady Thor. I mean, this cast is ridiculous.
I'm excited. I think Ragnarok really set a precedent for the Thor movies, because the first Thor was not good, and then not a lot of people like the second Thor. I do like the second Thor because I felt it felt Game of Thronesy, which it was directed by a director on Game of Thrones, so it was definitely something that I really liked. I enjoyed. But Ragnarok really set his power tone, because we didn't really see a lot of power come from Thor previous to Ragnarok, and Taika really brought that out. So I'm excited to see if they continue rising with awesomeness in regards to the Thor franchise within the Marvel MCU franchise. But I like I said, I'm excited with Russell Crowe. I don't know if this was, it could be an accident or it could have been on purpose. I mean, if he did it on purpose on his own volition, who's really going to stop him?
I really do wish I had the clip, because it seemed like it was kind of like a jokingly accidental type of thing.
Right.
But I don't know. Again, he's a pro at it, but he's never worked with the Marvel project where they're very tight-lipped about this stuff.
Right.
But
Extremely tight-lipped. And I don't think that they would have really stopped him. If anyway, he didn't give everything out, but he did say a little bit of something. I think he'll probably get a little, hey, Russell, we don't do that here. And then they're just going to let that go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to see. I think they're really casting Australian, aren't they? With Christian, with Chris, and with Russell. So maybe Hercules might be Australian as well. I don't know how
Taika is from New Zealand. So.
He is. I like Henry Cavill, but I don't know if I want to see him in this. I think I want to give someone else an opportunity. I like that they typically go for people that aren't huge names and really mold a lot of people. Like, who was Chris before Thor? He was nobody.
Great point.
So
Great point.
I really hope that they find somebody else that we can really, groom, and that sounded bad, but like they can make into a really great character.
To build that household name brand. I definitely know what you're saying there. But yeah, I mean, Chris, man, your thoughts on this casting, and also again, Christian Bale. We still have Tessa Thompson, obviously Hemsworth coming back. We got Natalie Portman. We have Matt Damon. We have I would imagine Loki is going to appear in this movie potentially. But your thoughts on this movie, and of course your thoughts on Mr. Russell Crowe playing Zeus.
First of all, I'm so excited to hear some non-hate for Iron Man. I mean, Thor 2. So
Thor 2, yeah, I'm not a fan of it, but I'm glad you guys like it.
I like Thor 1 more than I like Thor 2.
Same.
Really?
That's like the standard thought. I thought I was the only weirdo that I was like, this shit is alright. But loved Ragnarok. One of my favorite Marvel movies are off rip. So I've been looking forward to the to the fourth installment. Definitely cannot watch Henry Cavill and not think of Superman in another Marvel movie. It's impossible to do. I heard people say that he should be James Bond. Fine, fantastic. That's separate. Do your thing, whatever. But I cannot be watching him as Hercules and not think that that's Superman. So I think it's a little messy. I don't know if they would do that.
I'd agree.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I think it's going to be dope.
Finishing this out, Amanda, before we get into the Falcon Winter Soldier, bring in our other guest here who's in the waiting room. Let me know your thoughts on this film, this casting, and just kind of, this is like you said, I think Michael said this needs to be a 3-hour epic film, or Kolby might have said it. This is a huge, I don't know where the story's going. Again, Christian Bale, Beta Ray Bill might be in this film. I mean, this is just a lot of stuff going on. I'm here for it because Taika's my guy. But your thoughts on this, Amanda?
Jesus. I'm scared to say this. I wasn't a fan of Thor Ragnarok.
It's over. The stream is over. The stream is over.
I'm sorry. I hate saying it. I'm sorry, but I'm nervous for Love and Thunder. I'm actually nervous. I'm sorry. Everything they did with Thor, he looked like a rock star. He was absolutely fantastic. Yeah. And I completely agreed that he just looked awesome throughout the movie, but just the writing, I couldn't get into it. So I'm scared for Love and Thunder. But I think the only reason why people are saying Henry Cavill is because Russell Crowe also played his dad in Man of Steel. So they're kind of like, okay, let's kind of do that and go hand in hand. But I can't see. Yeah, exactly. So I can't see Henry Cavill as Hercules. I think like a lesser known actor would be really cool just to watch him grow in that. But like Russell Crowe and Alfred Molina can literally shake hands. I really think they're older. I don't think they understand the Marvel snipers and like how fans deal with this stuff. So I found it so funny. Like it's just hilarious that he would. So yeah, I'm kind of in between for Love and Thunder. But I'm happy you guys are excited for it. I really am. Sorry.
Man, I love that film. I have such a fun. I think it's the best Thor out of the trilogy, and we'll obviously get the fourth one. But I know where people's flaws are. Kind of and I think too, Taika Waititi is writing this film. I don't believe he was the writer on the first or the third one that he did. So, and I think he's a great writer, especially Jojo Rabbit and Hunt to the Wild. So I think his writing sensibilities might play a bigger role in this film. And of course, there's going to be some improv that we know from this franchise. But again, Is Hulk going to be in this again? Is Loki going to make his reprisal? We'll see. But I'm excited for it.
There's a lot of balls.
There's a lot of stuff. Like I said, there's a lot of characters that we can expect in this. And plus, this is going to be the Guardians. I forgot to mention the Guardians are in this film. Peter Quill and Rocket. So
we need
3 hours.
No, we need less people, not 3 hours.
Right, 3 hours is a long time. You're saying that, and I'm like, I don't know if I could do that again.
It's a lot, but again, Taika, he's my guy. I have faith in him, and we'll see, man. And you talk about that teaser. When we get that teaser, that's going to be pretty awesome. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Some of the bigger news that came out this week from the MCU. And there's a couple. We got another story that ties into this show that we're going to talk about in regards to another news article that we'll talk about at the end. But before we dive into the Falcon Winter Soldier, we have our last guest making his appearance, and I'm so excited to hear his take on this episode because I think he has a couple things to say about the Falcon Winter Soldier. And this gentleman, before I bring him in, I've had the pleasure of being on this channel this last year, covering shows like this, and we talked, WandaVision and The Mandalorian. I'm a huge fan of his content. We've become really good friends this last year. I'm so excited to have him on the panel, the one and only Griffin from Film Speak. What's going on, man?
What's up, dude? Sorry I'm late. I got here like 15 minutes ago, and then like my camera wouldn't turn on, so it just would have been a black screen with just my voice. So
Carly, man, it's Carly in that app, man. She shut you down. The Flag Smashers are doing that, man.
I know. I'm gonna be looking to Michael though for backup though on this. I think you and Michael and I are on the same page when it comes to this. But anyways, I'm really happy to be here and talk about this episode. But real quickly, I do want to say Amanda is right about every single thing that she said.
Thor, oh my gosh,
the only person who has ever agreed with me.
Come on. But Griff, man, before we dive into this recap, ladies and gentlemen, Griff, you want to let the people know where they can find you and all your great content, man. Go right ahead.
Yeah. So you can find me on Twitter at Griff Schiller, or you can head on over to the Film Speak channel for video essays, movie reviews, television talk, all that good stuff.
Awesome. So what you all been waiting for, ladies and gentlemen, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we have made it to the finale, the finish line. And before we dive into this discussion piece here, starting with you, Amanda, first of all, I want to know how many times you cry, because I know you get very emotional with these episodes. So just 24 hours being removed from this episode, where's your mindset at with this finale?
Okay, so first and foremost, Leo on Geek with Goods has an entire hour of me sobbing from beginning to end, and I'm not even joking. I was just so focused on Sam the entire episode that I kind of got lost in what else was happening because I was just so freaking happy. But then I watched it another 2 times, and there are so many flaws in this finale, and it felt really rushed. And again, like that could have been solved with 8 or 10 episodes. And I agree with Michael in that case, because it should have been at least 10. So it did feel rushed. There are flaws, but I take the good and kind of just push the bad down. Like I don't want to even remember half the stuff that I saw. But all in all, this entire series was for Sam Wilson, and we're just so freaking blessed with what he has become, and then the news, and then I was just very happy, and I cried multiple times. So
hey, he's the new Cap, which I know, Chris, you're loving that, man. I'm tossing it to you next, man. Just your general take on this episode, and where you're at with it all, man.
A lot to say, my friend. A lot to say.
Can I get into it? Golly. Not my Cap, but okay. So when the episode started, right, like first 5, 6, 7 minutes, I thought that I missed an episode. I was like, is there a 5.5 that I didn't watch? Because I know I was on the stream last week, because I was like, did I not watch last week? And I'm like, wait a minute, what am I watching? And I was like, he's flying around and he busts in with this new shit, looks crazy from Party City. And I'm like, what is going on? By the time we got to the end, Isiah brought me back 100,000%. The museum brought me back 100,000%. So I was like, this is great, fantastic shit. But it was it started off rocky as hell. It ended when I was like, I can accept this as what it is. I'm not raging about it. But it really kicked off, and I was like, what is happening here? It's dark as hell. you're fighting this person. John Walker's good again. What the fuck? Like,
Yeah, we got some things to say about Mr. John Walker.
Anyway, we're gonna get through some things.
We'll get through it.
Like, what the hell? To like, oh, that's really nice.
And that is a
Somehow I got there.
perfect. I think that's a great way to describe this episode and this show. There's some things that are just fantastic, and there's some things that are very questionable. Christine, your initial take on the episode and where you're at with it.
This is an interesting place to be because normally on my podcast, I'm the harsh one. I'm the one that everyone is like, oh man, Christine, you're just so crotchety and all this sorts of stuff. I actually really liked this episode. I do. Nice. I do think that the series suffers from, the same things that WandaVision suffered from, the same things that Secret Invasion is going to suffer from, Loki is going to suffer from. They don't have a lot of time to do what they're trying to do. And, that I blame Disney. I blame Disney for that. But because of that, writing is affected. And there are some things and some characters that don't make sense and do things that are really annoying. But overall, things that even my husband didn't like, I really liked in this episode. And I think that some things are ever present because of I wouldn't even say the day and age. I mean, it's been like this through history. So I really enjoyed it.
I'm more on the positive than I am negatives, and again, we'll dive deeper into it. But I'm glad that we have someone on the panel besides, Amanda. And like I said, I'm a little bit more positive on the episode too. But there are definitely some issues, some things we're gonna break down. Michael, my friend, your take on this episode, man. Before we dive into it,
I need to take my sip of water real quick.
Oh God.
Okay. Let me get this out of the way first. So, from the beginning, I freaking love this show. Every single episode, I was here for it. Like, even when I would watch you guys on your stream and you would talk about how episode 2, like, you thought the cop scene was forced and unnecessary and everything like that. I was like, I disagree. I was screaming at the computer. Like, when you guys talked about episode 3 not being your favorite, I was like, I liked episode 3. So everything about this show, I was here for all of it. The messages, the relationship that was building with Sam, and how we're getting more of his character than we've ever gotten in the MCU. I'm a big shipper of Sam and Bucky. Granted, the episode ended and it didn't give it to me, but well, still, it's headcanon. It's canon in my head. And then you get to episode 5, which is my favorite episode of the entire series. And then I was super hyped because I was like, okay, this episode is called Truth. Marvel, if you're smart, you would call this episode Red, White, and Black, just like in the comic, which is also the episode that introduced Isaiah Bradley. Then I started the episode 3:00 on the dot, and I saw it was called One World, One People. And I said, oh, come on.
Flag smashes are coming.
And that all come on is the reaction I had for the entire episode. Chris literally took what I was going to say. And I'm actually looking at my Killmonger mask that I bought a while ago. I'm like, dang, I should have brought that right before this because I feel like I'm about to burn it all. Because this particular episode, like, I fucking hated this episode. This was the worst episode of the entire series. Like, just like Chris said in the during his take when he was like, I feel like he missed something in the beginning of this episode. I felt the same way. Like, based on how the last episode ended with Bucky and Sam went their own separate ways, and then we get right to this episode, they're back together. I'm like, what was the point of having them go their separate ways then? That didn't make any sense. Like, it just felt super rushed. Like, okay, guys, we're at the final episode. Let's get everything done. And I felt nothing. Like, and I've been saying from jump, even when I was on here, what was it, the first episode?
Episode 1,
I was like, one of my biggest worries about this show is that it's only 6 episodes and they're trying to juggle too many storylines, but I'm gonna give it faith. I love Marvel. Marvel hasn't really steered me wrong, but this episode just proved to me that we needed like at least 10 to 15 episodes because it was just so much. There's like probably 2 things in this episode that I liked. The conversation that he had with Isaiah, Sam had with Isaiah, and then I like the cookout moment at the very end. Well, actually no, so 3. And I like Sam's costume, like, I'm wearing it right now. The comic book accurate. Yeah. But even the reveal of it, I felt nothing.
Anticlimactic.
Yeah, it was very anticlimactic.
He didn't get a moment. He didn't get a moment all to himself.
So it's just I'll go more into it. I don't want to bring the whole I don't put the energy down, but like even the speech that he had to the media, I was just I hated it. I hated all of it.
I liked it. My husband hated it, but I liked it. I loved it.
We'll get more into it. I like the words.
Yeah.
But I feel like it came out of we'll get more into it. Yeah.
Griff, man. I know right now, Griff, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, he put out a really awesome video essay on the Falcon Winter Soldier up until this point. And he had a lot of great things to say in that video. So my friend, did you put out the video in good enough time, or did you have some? I
think I put out the video at the perfect time because it would have been far more scathing had I put it out after that. I'm with Michael. I hated this episode. I really did. I don't know what the hell they were doing. I mean, look. At this point, I was like, okay. Obviously, they don't give a shit about the politics going on here. We're just going to throw that out. But now they've decided to throw out logic and just character out the window. Nothing was really lining up with what we had seen prior. Sam's reveal was so anticlimactic and underwhelming, and I know I'm maybe I'm being a bit too nitpicky, but the suit had major CW superhero vibes. It looked really cheap. His neck was super thick. What? It was really really awkward.
Listen, guys, for anybody who knows fashion, white leather does not work on camera. That was legit white leather. Look at the white canary on the CW. It does not work on camera. Yeah. Big mistake. You're right, bro.
Yeah. It was just it was really really strange. I don't know. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe there was a way they could have made it. I'm trying to think of how they could have done the suit to make it work. And I'm really not coming up with answers, but it definitely was not.
It's from the Wakanda piece because I must have missed where they opened the box and there was this fucking because I was like, I missed an episode. Now he's wearing a thing and then he's like, oh, you got something. What did you have from Wakanda? They want to make some ugly shit like that. That would have been the moment. Then he's wearing some regular shit, regular Falcon shit. Then the Wakanda shit turns into some new Captain America shit. Then you'd be like, oh, fucking Wakanda. Yeah. This dude just bust in with, I think, the Party City shit. I'm like, no, that's no rental, bro. Bring it back. I hope you got the receipt. That shit is not it.
Yeah, no, I'm so happy you brought that up because that is so true. I was looking at that. I'm like, that did not come from Wakanda. That was way too plastic and clunky to look like it came from Wakanda. So yeah, I'm 100% with you there. There were so many just weird character things that happened. I mean, my God, Sharon Carter was just her character was just obliterated. It's really weird how they kind of rationalize redeeming John Walker, but then don't do that for Carly, and it's just what are we trying to say here? The mixed messaging is all over the place, and I really do feel like they dropped you into this episode, and similar to WandaVision, I feel the finale for WandaVision, I felt like we missed an episode before this happened. And, Marvel, this is their first foray. WandaVision was their first foray, but this is their follow-up to that into television. And they really need to figure out how to end their stories because this is a disaster.
We'll dive deeper into Sharon Carter as the broker and all the stuff that we'll get with this episode. But Kolby, just your initial thoughts before we get into the breakdown, my friend.
Yeah, man, it's tough because I really loved it. I can't.
Mike tried to say
I can't sell that. I didn't hate it, but it was perfectly meh. Ultimately, if I'm judging it just by the episode, right? The episode serviced the story that specifically they wanted to tell. They would touch on things and wouldn't want to go there fully. And ultimately, the story is going to suffer because we do not have a compelling villain. You don't have a compelling villain. If you have a superhero show, it's going to ultimately fail, right? You gave us two antagonists in this series. You redeem one in the end of the film. That's a fail, right? My apologies. 3, because we got Sharon Carter. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a fail. My apologies. 4. Zemo. More. I usually take really detailed notes in every episode that I watch. When I first watched it, I'm like, there's nothing that's sticking out that I feel like I need to make a note of because we get introduced immediately into this action set piece. And I'm like, just like everybody else. I thought y'all needed to I'm going to keep my feelers out. And if I hear something, I'll let you know. Oh, I guess I just must have found something right now. Let's go to New York. Right. It was such a weird choice. And I'm not really big in regards to narrative, contrivances. We're just going to manufacture. I have no idea the infrastructure and how, the Flag Smashers work with money. They can get around anywhere. I have no idea why they're pissed off at one government when essentially they don't follow the rules of any government. They can go wherever the hell they want. They can have money to do whatever they want. They can spy on people from across the world. Like, just be your own country. I don't know what the problem is. I don't believe, this is the thing. If I don't believe in your world or the convictions of these characters, then I'm not jiving with any of it, right? Carly, there's nothing that is intimidating about Carly Morgenthau. Like, I'm sorry. I feel bad for the actress. It's just, that's what I'm saying. Like, oh my God, I'm afraid of the dentist and her freckles. Like, I have no idea, right? But it's just this. A lot of things are very anticlimactic. And to be honest with you, the best part of this series as a whole is the character work. And it's because it has that, it's like you can't completely shit on it because everything that has Isaiah Bradley in this entire series is amazing. This is some of the best character work in the entire MCU. But then you have all this other stuff that happens around it where I feel like, and I was talking to Amanda about this, this will be a much better movie because it's trying to do too many things as a show. It's failing. But if it concentrated just on Sam and him having to deal with the burden of being Black in America and also being Black Captain America, that's compelling alone, right? And then you have the one little small side story for Bucky, like how you're taught in traditional, narrative storytelling. And then you have one principal threat and then a little minor one. And if you focus on those things, because there's less things to be able to execute, you can typically do a good job because Marvel has shown us you can do specifically that. Their formula works. They're trying to stray too much and it's not working.
And in many ways, granted, it's not as bad. But in many ways, this final episode reminded me how I felt about season 8 of Game of Thrones. It's not as bad. It's not as bad. Because I'm still hurt from Game of Thrones.
When I saw they tweeted,
winter's wound that would never recover. I'm not saying it's that bad, but that's literally what it reminded me. I'm like, this is Game of Thrones all over again. You can't do this to me.
I disagree. This is far better than Game of Thrones.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's not as bad.
Kind of gave you the same type of effect.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of. The same, the disappointment.
I got you. Well, that's just the initial thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. We have a whole episode to kind of break down. So before we dive into the discussion, again, guys, make sure to like the video. All 65 people that's watching it now, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to thumbs up the video, share the video, continue the conversation in chat because we're going to have a good conversation, as you all can tell. So I guess, I don't know, am I the only one that kind of liked the suit a little bit? I didn't like the
yeah. I said I like the suit.
Say okay. You like it. Oh, wait, my apologies. There's a fifth threat. Frenchie.
Oh, yeah. She leg. Frenchie leg.
I think this show, as far as villains go, I think they were too concerned. Like, I think they were playing the whole, there's every hero thinks every villain thinks they're their hero in their own story. So there was some misplacement there, but there's a suit, ladies and gentlemen. There's a suit that Chris is going to be wearing this Halloween.
So the thing is, so once again, white leather doesn't work well. The blue is too sharp, right? Like it need to be that darker blue, like what Cap wore in Captain America: Winter Soldier, right? I mean, honestly, his Civil War suit, along with what he's wearing inside of Endgame, and like that's good stuff right there. This is too.
You know what? I think I wouldn't be surprised the next time we see him on, if it's the big screen, I wouldn't be surprised they make some kind of modifications.
I think they're going to hear the feedback and recognize that this ain't it.
Yeah.
Nobody saw Blank Man ever growing up?
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah.
No.
This ain't John Walker making it in his garage type of look, man. I like it. I think there will be some more modifications. Yeah, I think it's going to be modified when you see him on a big screen. But as we open up the episode, which I totally agree with you all, it felt like it just it went a little bit too quick. We didn't have the time to really kind of appreciate the suit and really kind of soak it all in, like we did with Wanda. When she had her suit moment and the cosmic stuff going on around her, we kind of really kind of appreciated the suit, but it kind of just jumped right into action. But as the episode opens up, we see that the GRC has been on complete lockdown. We see Carly, which we'll talk about her giving out the mission in regards to, she's willing to die for this cause and getting everything set up. Sharon Carter comes into the mix with her whole Black Widow homage to Winter Soldier with her face and not her face, Mission Impossible moment. And I don't know, she made her way to America. Apparently she couldn't make it to America.
In the middle of a crowd.
In the middle,
full of news cameras. She still wanted, like,
before she was pardoned. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I don't. We'll get to her. We'll get to her. But we, as you guys mentioned, we do get a little fight sequence here, which I don't know. Sam had a little bit of difficulties getting around Backtrack. You know, he's not Cap. You know, obviously Cap laid him out in Winter Soldier, but they have their little back and forth for a minute there. Which I will say that the action was a little clunky at times, but I will say seeing him in action, I think Amanda can agree with this. Seeing him using the actual wings, using the shield. That was kind of fire to me. I don't know if you guys feel the same way in regards to the action of him in the suit. I think it was pretty cool.
It's still stunted. What he needs to do, once we got that training montage, what I'm telling the audience, I need you to accept that from here on out, Sam is just as formidable as what Steve Rogers is. And the thing is that we would believe it because we saw the training montage, right? Sam at this point needs to be John Wick, where I don't care what you put against me. If it's me and a guy one-on-one, it's not a sweat. And it's too many times I'm seeing Sam really having to try his all to take out a regular goon. And I've got a problem with that.
Yeah. Well, and here's the other thing. It's like Sam had military training. Like he has gone on missions before. Like he's a former soldier. So it's like he shouldn't be struggling as much as he is in like the series to fight people, especially someone like Batroc, which is like he's just a guy, right?
He threw a chair and deflected a vibranium shield.
Yeah. So it's just like, I agree with you. He needed, especially in that first fight with Batroc. Yeah, okay, it's his first day on the job as Captain America, but it's I mean, the only thing that's changing is he has a shield and he has a new suit now. He's still like Sam Wilson and like able to fight.
Real quick, so did Sam and Bucky, did they make an oath at some point, like post episode 3, to like never use guns again? I'm just saying, because they've always used guns before, and they just decided to like never use guns again.
Yeah, I guess it's just the lethal ways of to take out these enemies. Maybe the moral compass have changed to not kill anyone on this mission.
All right.
I guess kind of like Captain America. When we first saw him, he was using a gun.
Captain.
Now he's not using guns anymore. So
he just uses these.
Yeah, he's using the gun.
If it's an alien, that AK is coming out.
Get out the
But an alien gun is coming.
An alien
gun.
Yes. That's what he does.
But as we kind of get this fight again, we see Sam being, like I said, I found those scenes to be pretty entertaining regarding him and using the shield and him using his his superpowers besides him being able to gather people together and speaking his word. But the flight, he's a pretty good fight user, and we see Red Wing is better than ever in this sequence as he saves people's on the helicopters, this, that, and the other. We see the conversation between Carly and I don't know what the point of that scene was with Carly and Bucky, kind of that conversation. I guess she was stalling because they want to get people out of the building. Sharon Carter yet again makes her way into the plot where she's able to take out one of the flag smashers.
Not just take out, bro. She was like what was that, mustard gas?
I don't know, Mercury and some other things she said.
It's gonna be a really big problem. Like,
it was like Dr. Poison in Wonder Woman. Right?
Yeah.
Like the freaking poison. Yeah.
Sam and Bucky can hear her on the comms, and they're just okay with the fact that she poisoned.
She took one out
dude.
pretty easy.
She's
Yeah,
like,
while Sam's still fighting Backtrack. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if they know. I don't know if they know that she killed him.
Well, she said it to him. She's like, because remember, Bucky was like, "How did you do that?" Oh, I used this Mercury thing, and they're just like,
"Oh, yeah."
Oh,
yeah, they just kind of
okay.
Well, and then we cut to, again, we see Bucky. He's now at this point, he's on the streets, doing his ground level fighting, taking on some of the flag smashers. But let's go ahead and start the conversation a little bit about John's arc and his redemption story of sorts. When we see that he's in he's in the streets and he's, Morgenthau, he's out for blood, he's out for vengeance. He has his homemade shield, which gets completely demolished. Like there's no point of even.
It looks like a paper plate.
That is a great way to describe his shield. But starting with you, Amanda, just your take on, I guess, just the beginnings of the bloodthirst, the anger. And she even says to him in this moment, "Your friend's life, I didn't mean to kill him, but I don't want to hurt people that don't really matter." And he, I'm thinking, okay, this is really going to get him off the edge. But just your take on this moment here of John Walker getting into the mix.
First of all, his DIY shield was just the most hilarious thing I've ever seen in my life. That was just so funny, him throwing that around. His writing was all over the place this episode. And the second that Carly did say that about Battlestar, he should have been the one to kill Carly, to be perfectly honest, if you're going to set him off like that. But no, middle of the fight, like, I'm going to go save these people. Like, what? You just spent episodes making us hate him, literally hate him, and now you're just like redeeming him in like this short period of time. Like, what are you doing? It didn't make any sense. And then you go on, like in the later episode, which we are going to talk about, he becomes U.S. agent. So it's like, what were you trying to do here? Were you trying to like maybe bring him down a bit and like lower him a bit so like he wasn't as crazed, in order for us to kind of like appreciate the US agent type of reveal? Like, I don't know what they were trying to do with this, but it was really messy. And I hate that it was Sharon Carter who killed like, I just hate that entire scene so much. But like,
So dumb.
It just didn't make sense with John Walker. It didn't. And like, even John Walker and Bucky talking to each other, like,
well, yeah, that was definitely that was weird.
Be pals for a short. Like, what are you joking? Bucky Barnes, the person who literally wanted to kill him himself, like, what? And now they're buddy cops together. Like, what are you trying to do here? I'm not understanding. So that whole thing with John Walker, just a big fat no. I couldn't do it.
It seemed like it was like a multiverse. Like this was another version of John Walker. He had a therapy. Maybe he talked to Bucky's therapist. I don't know. But Chris, man, your take on John Walker. We'll dive deeper into like that redemption of him saving the people in the truck. But just him get into the mix, get into the fight, the one-on-one versus Carly, which Carly I guess she can hold her on, man. She's knocking people out left and right. She knocks them out inevitably. Yeah. But your take on John Walker get into the mix before we get into his arc of redemption.
Yeah, Carly's been kicking ass all season, so I got that. That's all good.
Yeah.
Like, and the freckles, I guess they're weird, but she's still kicking ass, so fuck it.
Yeah.
John Walker, I think, like everyone said, like it's weird that this is allowed, right? I think in a world that we're watching Chauvin victory, like verdicts, we want to talk about accountability. So where's John Walker's? I think what I would have done is give him the time, sentence this dude, and then in a future project, Sam and Bucky come to him and say, look, let's team up or whatever, or he tries to join them or whatever after he's done his time. That Lincoln joke is great. That's a cool little joke about, what line is it? Mercy and all that. I was like, that's fire. If you would pretend nothing happened in the last 3 episodes. So I thought I was like, oh, that would have been fucking fire. Like, and it's dope to see John Walker like trying to be one of the part of the boys. Like he's been trying to just fit in somewhere, like do his part. Like that's great, but you got to do your time. You can't be putting Sam in the raft for the Accords and Civil War, and these guys and this guy John Walker's just back on the streets with a new suit, which by the way still looks better than fucking Sam's new suit. Made it himself, but it's just I thought it was nonsense, but it's like that's what I would have done. Just let him do the time, and then maybe in the future team up after he's earned it, and he has to kind of like earn their trust back and team up.
That could have been a different play. And I think there's been rumors out there too, and we'll get to the flag smashers here in a second about the rewrites and all that stuff. But there was definitely some characters that got the short end of the stick, and John being one of them. Christine, your take on John getting into the mix and taking on Carly with his, as Kolby says, the paper plate frisbee.
Paper plate.
So Captain Lame, I would say he's definitely been, that's what I've been calling him. Now he's going to be U.S. Lame, but he's definitely been a character that like I said before, suffers from the 6 episode, short season type of thing. Because I think the idea of John was better than the execution. I hated his execution up until episode 4 and 5, where he really started to interest, and then 6 happened, and I was just like, okay, I hate you again. Like I they didn't really do a lot of great things or any great things with this character in this episode, and it was just like this, like it wasn't a seamless transition character wise. There was no character continuity. Like he is literally all over the place. He's gone through all of the emotions in a matter of maybe a week. Like it's very nonsensical. But yeah, I strongly dislike this character.
But even have Val, even just like put him in the raft, put him in some prison, and have Val come either like break him out or like give him some proposition to turn him into the agent, anything where it's like this is why he's free, not just he's free because he's free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And even with like including her in it, like we haven't gotten enough where, okay, why are you guys changing clothes in this like courthouse.
Courthouse,
Okay?
yeah.
Same
That was
courthouse that he was
location, yeah.
same courthouse that he was court-martialed in.
Out of all the
Exactly.
scenes that you could have done this or sets you could have reused, this was not the one to do like a outfit change. And then
Yeah.
who are you for me to be like, oh yeah, I'm back. Like what?
Yeah, well,
he was very bizarre.
He's a ham. Like he's such a ham.
He's corn and ham and cheese.
Yes.
It's so bad.
The
Listen,
bad sandwich.
and a man that knows, because I've been saying it for weeks, I was a John Walker fan. I was rooting for John Walker. Not rooting for him, but I was liking what they were doing with the character in regards to kind of sympathizing and where they were going with it, being discharged, which I guess going back to that scene, which we'll talk about later, I guess there's might be some symbolizing that's when he got taken, stripped away from Captain America. Now he can go back to the place that he's being titled the U.S. agent. Maybe that's where they were in the same location potentially. But I was a John Walker fan.
When you
I
get
was
discharged. One, it's almost like essentially like you got fired, right? It is illegal to impersonate like an officer, especially a federal officer, and that's exactly what the mantle of Captain America is. The moment that he puts that suit back on, which he should have turned in because that was supposed to do, he committed a crime and nobody apprehended him. This is another just prime example of white privilege in the MCU, and I'm not here for it.
But I think I just to kind of jump in on that, I think they with Isaiah Bradley, that was kind of the point, because in that episode where Isaiah tells his story, right, which is a little tweak from the comic line, he tells his story about how what he went through and how he put on the suit to go save the rest of his crew. He got 30 years, and then you have the opposite where you show John Walker just getting, oh, you're just fired, you're not going to get any retirement. Go on, kid, and have a great day. That's basically, I think that was on purpose. I think that's something that they did on purpose to kind of show you that different.
We'll toss it to you, Michael, your take on John Walker. And again, we'll dive deeper into, again, his switch in the character. But in this moment of him and Carly on the battlefield, if you want to call it that, your thoughts on Mr. Walker.
So, I mean, I wasn't surprised that John showed up for the final episode. But what I was expecting versus what I got was completely different. Yeah. And my version would have been like, I don't know if you guys can see my screen, but I was expecting this.
I was expecting a fight between him and Sam. Yeah.
Literally in the comic book. Like, and then it narratively speaking, like, it's like they took the neuralizer from Men in Black and flashed it in front of both the audience and the characters. Cause I'm just like, even to see Walker and Bucky, you know, him tapping him on the shoulder as if just the last episode is like, you know, he just tried to kill you, right?
They broke your arm, my guy.
He was not even just did he break his arm, but he was about to kill Sam with the shield the same exact way that he's about to kill the Flag Smasher. But yet they're like, oh, hey guys. So I'm like, I don't understand what is going on. Like, who wrote this episode? Like, is this their first time viewing the show? And like,
maybe their last.
and going into something that Kolby and Christine said earlier about what what his white privilege basically saved him, because at no like the moment, and he was around government officials, and he was other than honorably discharged. The moment he walked into there with his Captain America suit and granted, I know other stuff is going on, but after it was all over, nobody said arrest this man. No, it was just like cool. And then and I get the narrative that they're saying that, you know, Isaiah did one thing, but then you got this white guy who did another thing, the same exact thing, and yet he's exonerated. But at the same time, with the narrative that you're trying to tell me with Sam Wilson becoming Captain America, you're trying to say this guy is going to handle things differently, but not even him. He didn't even go to be like, John Walker, you need to go to jail. Like, I'm sorry you helped out, but you know, maybe in a couple years we can talk and break you out, whatever. 20, like, talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer real quick. Like, the perfect redemption arc for him. Granted, Joss Whedon is trash, but the perfect redemption arc could have been like follow the model of Faith.
Yeah,
who killed people, went to jail, and she was able to be redeemed. For you to build John Walker up as this antagonist, and granted, I know they didn't want him to be a villain, because I know in the comics he's not a villain. He's problematic, but he's not a villain. To do this all in the final episode with no real narrative drive, just because we're in the final moment, we're in the final episode, like, it felt completely hollow. Like he should have been the one to kill Carly, like somebody said. I don't remember who it was, and then cart his ass off to jail.
That's it.
Yeah. It's a lot of again, I was on John Walker's, like, I love what they were doing with the character and building the character, but this they dropped the ball on the character in this episode. I mean, of course, we're gonna get more of the character in the future as the U.S. agent, but after, it's kind of a sour taste in my mouth, and hopefully they can bring them to what they were doing in the first half of this show. But Griff,
I want to say really quick, because I don't want to like this whole thing to be all negative, because I know there are people that are really, that are really liking this, that really like this episode. So I will say Wyatt Russell's Wyatt Russell's killing it every time he comes on screen. I'm here for it. So
awesome. We talked about Game of Thrones earlier. Who did you hate? Cersei, Joffrey, Ramsay, and people hated John Walker. So he did his. I totally agree with you, Michael. Wyatt Russell did a phenomenal job, and his career has been on the up and up. But definitely after this performance, minus this episode, Griff, and it's not his fault. That's
not his fault.
I don't blame any of the actors in this.
Exactly. Griff, man, your take on Mr. John Walker. Was there anything in this episode that there is a moment that I will say that I liked about John Walker? But Griff, your take.
Yeah,
on Mr.
mean,
Walker.
when I saw him show up, I was like, okay, we knew he was going to be in here again. The finale is already overcrowded and whatnot, but he's probably just going to make matters worse. And that wasn't the case. He turned into best friends with Bucky over the course of a few minutes, which was really, really weird. Again, I think it's like they knew where they wanted to go with everything, but they didn't want to build up to it, which is sort of my issue with the show as a whole. I think episode 5 is excellent. I don't think the build up to episode 5 works. I think the payoff works, not the buildup, and I think you get that here because, like we're saying, there was another episode or another couple of episodes in between episode 5 and episode 6. Maybe you can justify some of these decisions, but I mean, again, what Michael is saying, the final showdown should have been Sam Wilson, Captain America versus U.S. Agent, because that is the core of what this show has been all along, right? The white privilege and everything that John Walker represents, the anti-version of Captain America versus Sam, who had to basically fight and claw and come to the realization all on his own and all that. And then pull a Zemo later down the line in the MCU, and then bring back John Walker as more of an anti-hero. I think that's how you do that. The thing that just really irritated me is over the course of one episode, and throughout the entire series, they gave John Walker all of this sympathy, which I really enjoyed, and I think is part of what made that character really interesting, because you see that internal conflict, but they never afforded the same thing to Carly Morgenthau, who had more of a valid point in what she was trying to get done, right? The revolutionary inside of her and everything, and then the episode is just sort of nope, F that, you're a terrorist and we're just going to kill you. And I get there is a symbolic nature behind her death and everything like that, but it is just so unbelievably baffling why they would redeem one antagonist, but then say the other antagonist, which arguably had a more valid point, is just no, you're done. We'll see you later. It just really, really sat wrong with me. And then I guess when you're talking about, should John have been the one to kill Carly? If that had happened, then you don't get a John Walker redemption arc, and it's a really sad, tragic arc for Carly, who wanted justice, and then it's okay, the person who was originally supposed to be this beacon of hope, as the new Captain America, we see him for what he is. But I think going back to episode 5, the very beginning of that episode, even Bucky and Sam, when they're trying to calm Walker down, they're like, we get it. We know why you did that. It's okay. You can just turn the shield in. And it's the dude just decapitated someone in front of every single person. There shouldn't be this sort of acceptance that goes. Exactly. So it's just there's so many things that are just not working with where they decided to take that character. So very, very frustrating. I really hated what they did with that.
I think I can't remember who mentioned it, maybe last week, in regards to the his sister. I think it was when we had Paul on, or maybe Austin brought it up last week. The sister might have been on to John Lyon, and even Carly, she says it out loud. I didn't kill your friend. Again, I don't know if that would have been a moment of being a family member. They arrest them after the case, like you guys mentioned, and breaking them out. It could have been so many different ways it could have went with John Walker, but unfortunately.
And really quick, something that Griff just sparked in me, and another narrative choice where it doesn't make sense that John and Sam didn't fight. It's just, it completely retcons their own narrative that they set up, where Sam was kind of coaxed to give up the shield because white people didn't want this black man to be Captain America. It's like you did a good thing, son. And then they gave it to this. They gave the shield to this white man, and then for Sam to take the mantle of Captain America, like he has to literally take it from the man that the government chose, and while the world is watching, so the world can say, no, this is my Captain America, and for them not to, and he has, and also considering that episode 5, it took him and Bucky to defeat John Walker. For this episode, to set up the narrative that they started, it would have made sense for him he had to have defeat John Walker without Bucky by himself. To be Captain America, and they didn't do that, so it was just like, hey, John, let's go get some cookies. Like I'm surprised, I'm surprised they didn't invite him to the cookout at the end.
Oh, dude, that would have happened. Oh my gosh, Kobe. To wrap this up with John Walker's return, before we dive deeper into the episode with the Power Broker, we're going to talk some positives, ladies and gentlemen. There were some good things about it, but your thoughts on John coming back and getting into the mix and his story regarding him being a hero now.
Yeah,
or not a hero, but an anti-hero.
It's just a weird place to be because I truly don't know what the goal was from our, from the writing staff to be like, what do they want John to be? Yeah. I don't truly know. It's like I get the setup in regards to painting this ham of a person who is an American hero. He is that, right?
Yeah.
But he
3
also
Medal
is
of Honors. Yeah.
Yeah. He's also like the typical privileged white male running around this country who constantly gets a pat on the back, even when he does shit wrong, right? Like, all that Lamar is the magical Negro inside of this Marvel. His wife is a magical Negro. They have no agency of their own. They're only there just to prop them up and pat them on the back and like never truly try to convict them of the things that they do wrong, right? And they missed the mark in regards to the super soldier serum is not perfect. Like this was not some perfect thing where like you match it, like it's supposed to amplify the worst and best things inside of you. And like it would have made so much sense to see him really struggling. Like I wanted to see his veins remember when Carly was talking about it in episode 3, how their veins were on fire. He takes it, it's like, oh, we don't even get to see him turn. Like I want to see that physical change in him, so that way narratively you sell the audience on this man is being impacted by this chemical change inside of him, and we can see that he's just not able to handle it because he's not Steve Rogers, right? That's the exact reason why Sam doesn't want to take that, because he knows exactly who he is. He doesn't need to be anything more than that. But this guy was so insecure, he wanted to be more. That's why he always say, I am Captain America. That's why I hate it in this episode that Sam had to vocalize that he was Captain America. I didn't want him to say it.
I hated it. Yeah,
I didn't like that.
Somebody should have said it for you
know what I'm saying? So like it sounded so cringeworthy. So still not knowing what I don't even know now that the show's over what he is to be, because it's not fully been sold to us on what Contessa Vela, whatever her name is. I don't know who she's supposed. I know technically who she's supposed to be, but they didn't tell us in regards into this world. So it's a really uncomfortable place to be. And the fact that this 6 foot whatever is just walking around all smug. Yeah, you can't, man. You with agent.
This guy.
It is unfortunate how the conclusion of his arc kind of came within the show, and we know that there's still continuations of the character, and we'll see. Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to getting more Wyatt Russell and seeing what they can do with the U.S. agent and seeing what they can do with Thunderbolts and him leading a potential team. We'll see, and again, his wife too. I was thinking that his wife was going to maybe say something about Lamar's death, or even have something to say about how he killed someone, and how that, again, we talked about it up top. 6 episodes wasn't enough to kind of dive deeper into the consequences and the circumstances that went down in the last few weeks. But before we transition to the next part of the episode, quick thank you to Angela with the super chat. We will be talking about that Captain America 4 news a little bit later in the separation of that news. And apparently I thought that Chris Evans was not going to be Captain America, and they debunked that because apparently there's another thing with him in the works. So we'll see. But again, Angela, thank you so much for the super chat, and everyone that's in the live stream. Thank you guys for tuning in. So we talked about John. We're going to talk about Sharon here in a second, but we do see Sam going back to some positive stuff. Again, I can't iterate it enough. Seeing Sam saving and going back to John Walker a little bit. He has the moment where he's out for vengeance, but then he ultimately decides to not chase Carly and go after the people in the truck, which does seem to be going back to him being somewhat of a hero in his own story, in his own head, and saving the people. And obviously he didn't save him because that was obviously Sam's moment, which he ended up saving the people in the truck, which I thought was a nice moment. I think there was some discord online that people were like, how did he able to push the, like he has thrusters, he has, leg ring. That didn't bother me. I actually liked the fact that he kind of came in. Again, it's his story with Bucky, as coming in as well. So I kind of like that moment, but we can't ignore this moment here, which not to poo-poo on the conversation again with the power broker, but starting with you, Amanda, this reveal here with Sharon Carter, is there anything good to say about how they handled the story? Is there anything we can find something to say about this? I guess to set up the scene at this point, again, Sam saves the people in the truck. We have the three of them working together. The Flag Smashers go around because Backtrack kind of distracts them. We hear someone whistling. They have their conversation about, I trusted you and I'm disappointed in you. And it's revealed that she is the power broker. So, Amanda, can we find something good with this moment here?
Other than Carly dying? No. I honestly
maybe dying.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying, what? You made her the power. We saw it coming. First of all,
we did. We
just immediately once she got into that car.
Yes.
We were just hoping that wasn't the case. You're like,
the episode she was introduced was called Power Broker.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's funny. That's funny, Michael. Yeah.
Why would you do this? They do not know how to write Sharon Carter. They have never known what to do with her.
I agree.
And it's so easy. You have the material. You have the material to write her properly, and you still choose to not write her properly. So it's just ridiculous that they made her the power broker. That whole scene, just nothing. That whole scene was just the weirdest thing that I've ever seen. It would have helped if we had some sort of backstory. Like Carly's talking to frickin' Sharon as if they're best buds and they went on adventures together. And they're like, I don't understand that. Maybe a flashback, something would have helped this. But
I think that's the pandemic stuff that really messed up.
Yeah, that's what's been on the
But that's what's bothering me now, because the more it says, oh, there were rewrites, there's this, don't put the show out. Don't put the show out until you have what you need.
Because I don't even know if I want to blame it on the pandemic, because if I remember correctly, long before COVID, I think it was always said that this show would only have 6 episodes. I mean, look at Secret Invasion. It's not hindered by and they're only saying 6 episodes. So
I think it's just that rumored virus storyline that they took out.
Yeah, so that's probably the only rewrite that they took that out. But other than that, I think everything is still
going to be the same. Yeah.
It felt disjointed. It felt so weird and misplaced. And then I heard that there was a whole other thing with the Flag Smashers, on top of the virus that they were cutting and placing in different, it's just, if they say that it's rewrites for pandemic and they're changing the episodes around and you only had 6 to play with, then what are you messing with it for? That's what I don't understand. If you had it in place initially and everything you thought was properly placed in all these episodes, then why are you trying to cut corners and ruin something that could have possibly been good, and now we're not going to know what it is? You know
release
what I mean?
The virus cut.
Well, I mean, honestly, it's not like we haven't gotten so many just horrible pandemic movies during this time period anyways. If it was if it was a truly good story and the virus storyline worked, just leave it in there. People aren't gonna get mad at you for saying pandemic or using vaccines.
I guess I'll try to toss it to you, Chris, to try to play devil's advocate with Sharon Carter. It kind of makes sense that they would have this connection. Again, we know that Carly feels that she was forgotten about. She was lost. Sharon Carter, she's been, the Avengers forgot about her. Her government forgot about her. She's a Carter. We know that Peggy created S.H.I.E.L.D. So it makes sense that they would have that kind of connection and kind of let's build something of our own world. But it's the execution, Chris, man. I tried to find something good with Sharon, but I think someone said in the comments they should have never even had her in the plot at all. But your take, Chris.
It's true.
I'm gonna yield a lot of my time here. All I'm gonna say is it's very easy to say, oh, the show should have been 10 episodes, 15 episodes, 1,000 episodes. Of course that's easy. But if it's gonna be 6, just figure out how to make it right in 6. You don't need all this Sharon Carter bullshit, which is taking away time from Sam and Wyatt, and these are the filler parts when it's just look, we got 6 episodes. If this is a business. If the company says you get 6, make it stretch. You know, your mom say you go to the grocery store, I told you $2, make it stretch. Mm-hmm. So it's like you take these little parts of it out. This Sharon Carter shit, that's what you put in when you've got 20 episodes to waste with nonsense like this. Like, you only got 6. Like, look, we going Bradley, we going Wyatt. If we got time, we'll touch on Carly. And the overarching thing is going to be this Black Captain America, and that's it. Figure out how to make this work. That's what I would do. You'll do it.
Yeah. It well said, man. And I think, again, I'll try to pull something out of Sharon Carter as a power broker. This is Marvel, classic Marvel setup. I think right now we might be in a certain way, in a certain mindset with her, and execution is poor, but I hope that they have her set up for, again, and we'll talk about the post-credit scene, but her being involved in Armored Wars, her being involved in Secret Invasion, her having some type of arc, because right now the foundation is not good. So hopefully they're setting her up to be something a little bit more. But like Amanda said, she has been poorly written in MCU so far. Mm-hmm. Christine, your thoughts on Sharon Carter and this reveal? Did it? I know you liked the episode. Was there something in this moment that we can pull from?
So I will devil's advocate for the character being in the show, not particularly in this episode. I did like seeing her. I mean, she's memories of Winter Soldier. She's memories of Civil War. So I did enjoy seeing her, and then especially the fight scene when they were by the all the not tanks, but the freights and stuff like that.
That was the best fight. That was the best like hand-to-hand fight sequencing inside the entire show.
Her with that bar, get it, girl.
I'll say Dora Milaje, but go on.
Yeah, right. I agree. Dora Milaje, best fight the whole season. But it was solid. I love Black Widow is one of my favorite female characters because, and then when you saw Dora Milaje, I love women that can really kick butt, and they're really tactical. They're very great fighters. So I love seeing that. So when you saw her in that episode, I was like, that's great. I mean, we all thought she was going to be the power broker when we saw her. The minute that text went out, we're like, and we saw Sharon, we're like, she might be the power broker. When it comes to this episode, though, I do feel like her character was very, very poorly written. I do agree that I think they didn't know what to do with her in the whole MCU, and they still don't know what to do with her. I don't like the switch. I feel like the reveal was underwhelming. It's fine that I theorize that this is what you were going to do. Execution was very, very poor and extremely underwhelming when she's like, oh yeah, power broker. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I don't care. And her killing Carly. And then at the end, she's like, oh, we got it. We got so many things to sell now. I was just like, all right, I liked you. And then you really appreciated and value in this episode. So in the season, I enjoyed seeing her. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, I do agree with Chris. If you're going to do it in 6 episodes and you're going to, you want us to like John or care about John. I wouldn't even say like John, but care about John. Mm-hmm. And you had to choose out of the 2 to give more time to, give more time to John versus Sharon. But I did enjoy her up until this episode.
It's a good point. And you brought up that fight, which even makes my head hurt thinking about the logic sense of her being a power broker. Why would she, I guess, kill her own men? Because that was her. I would assume that was her men that were after.
That was her guy.
And she killed. She knew that. Well, the death of Nigel, the guy that made the serum. Yeah. So to me, it just. I don't know why.
Why would you assume? I was gonna say that. Yeah.
I don't. It doesn't make any sense at all. Why would you leave them there to begin with?
That the power broker is just a title, and there are maybe other power brokers out there, and she's one of carrying on that name. So hopefully, maybe there's another power broker out there that maybe explain her actions.
The power broker was supposed to be
that
Zemo.
way. Yeah,
it was supposed to be Zemo. Like that's the only importance of having him in here is that somehow while he was still locked up, magically, I don't know how half of existence on Earth gets blipped and he's still in prison, but whatever, right? We're gonna accept that. But somehow he was pulling the strings. That's what I needed to have happen in episode 6. That even though the door took him away and took him to the raft, that somehow he was still pulling the strings. Well, technically he was. His not Alfred. His not Alfred was doing some stuff,
right?
You know but like I needed him to ultimately be the power broker. Like, well, where'd you get the name from? Oh, we got it from Zemo, and then it all clicked. Oh, it was Zemo the entire time, And then we get the song. It was Zemo all along. Like that's what I needed to happen. And it didn't happen.
I guess so.
Michael, tossing it to you, man. And also, too, before we go to that, Michael, quick shout out to Lady M5 with the super chat. Thank you so much. But Michael, my friend, power broker.
But yeah, even though it wasn't Zemo all along, I mean, with this episode, it was Sharon all along. Except she didn't have the bop of the song.
It didn't sound good.
Like, going to what Elliot said. This is literally what I was going to say. Like, it doesn't. You reveal that she's the power broker, but then it doesn't make sense for the narrative because why would you take Zemo? And she knows Zemo's reputation. Why would you take him to the one scientist that was able to recreate your super soldier serum, thus defaulting and diminishing all of your plans? Like, that make absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
Then not only just that, but like, honestly, this is one of the big problems with this show in general. Like, all the women characters, they wrote terribly, whether it's Sharon, Carly,
except for Sarah. Sarah's the only.
Sarah's
Oh, I love Sarah.
Yeah, I love Sarah too, but I'm thinking Sharon, Carly, and John Walker's wife. She was just a prop.
The worst.
She was nothing. Just let's throw her in there to show he's one of those not racist white people, because you see he got a black wife. See?
Yeah. Instead of I got a black friend, it's I got a black wife.
Yeah, he had both, but yeah, still he's true.
That black woman would not be holding
magical Negroes.
Yeah, he still needs to read White Fragility, but like. Right. Like, I thought it was handled terrible. And then not only just that, but like, they made it seem like in the reveal of Marvel, like, oh, you're the power broker, as if we're gonna be like, oh my God, Sharon is the power broker. I did not like Quicksilver. You didn't see that coming. Like, everybody saw that cut. Like I mentioned, like the episode that she was announced, it was called the power broker. Every time they mentioned the power broker, they cut back to Sharon. So it's like, Marvel, what are you doing? Like, I was expecting them to give like some type of reveal of her motivations of why, not even just why, because she kind of talked about, her disillusionment with the government, but at least how the hell did she amass that type of wealth?
You can't even buy into that, because apparently she can travel wherever she wants. She's got a mask that can change her identity. Oh, I can't see my dad. Yes, you can, you liar. Yes. You've got the technology to do it.
And that's what I'm trying to fit. Like, how did she amass all that type of wealth when she was on the run from Civil War? The fact that she has like 2 satellites, they didn't give us anything. And that's one of my biggest things with the show. Like, we should have gotten a flashback episode for the show. Like, to understand Carly and the Flag Smashers' motivations, we should have seen what their life was like during the blip instead of you telling us.
An entire episode.
This show did a lot of telling and not showing. If you're gonna fridge Lamar, make him the sacrificial Negro, then you should have had a flashback episode where you saw the relationship between John and Lamar building up. Because I have a huge problem with the death of Lamar in episode 4.
Yes,
I fucking hated that. Like, you introduce this black character. It's not like there's a whole lot of black main characters in Marvel, and then you kill him off to prop up the white guy. Fuck you, Marvel. I didn't like that.
Just to prop up him.
Right. That's what I'm saying. To prop up John, especially considering he's not dead in the comics, and in the comics he's on the same level in terms of getting super soldier serum. They're both literally the same type of power. But then you did that in the MCU. You take the power away from the black guy, but you give it to the white. Like, I hated all of that. And so with Sharon Carter, I wanted more motivation from her, more development from her, because I don't have a problem with female villains. I want to see more female villains. Like, when you think of iconic female villains, there aren't really a whole lot. The same way I feel about black iconic villains, like a Darth Vader or a Hans Gruber or a Joker, like Dr. Doom. You don't really have any. So I was here. I'm here if they go the direction of Sharon Carter being a villain, but I want more development. Just give me more. And they didn't.
Well said, man.
I want to step in off of what you were saying, because that's something that is one complaint that I've had this whole series, is the whole, I call it the vloggers rule, right? If you want to be a YouTuber, you want to be a vlogger, a lot of times they tell you, if you want to have a good channel, show, don't tell. Don't tell. Say, hey, I'm going to the beach, and then next clip you're eating yogurt. Show them you went to the beach. Take them on the beach with you. So I feel like this whole series really suffered from a lot of telling, with Carly talking to the guy that ended up getting murdered by Captain Lame Lame. She's talking to him about their time in Madripoor and how they came together. You should have showed that to us. When in the second episode, when you see John and he has that conversation with Lamar, that should have been something we should have seen, not heard. And that would have been a great fix for this 6-episode situation, where we could have been on board with certain things because we were part of it. We felt the emotion. We can see the connection. We understand the relationship, versus you telling me, oh yeah, that's my friend. All right, he's dead. Okay, why? Like, that's kind of what.
Even when John went to go console Lamar's parents, and Lamar's parents were saying, "Oh yeah, he was super happy when you became Captain America. You guys were riding." Again, you're telling me and not showing me. So why?
And I didn't believe
caring about that? Yeah, I didn't believe any of it.
It's a great point. That would almost be like, in Civil War, we hear that Bucky killed Tony's parents, but not actually seeing it and seeing the brutality of it, and then kind of seeing it on screen really kind of put that moment into Tony's head. Imagine his mom being killed and his dad. So yeah, more showing than telling. Griff, man, your thoughts on Sharon Carter? It hopes that that there's some MCU magic maybe with the movies that they can prop her up a little bit more and give her something more media to do in the MCU.
Yeah, I mean, before I go into Sharon Carter, like, why did, like, just going off of Lamar and John Walker, why did they not have an episode or like half of an episode dedicated to them in Afghanistan? Yeah. Like, if we actually saw what they went through and like how like their actions there shaped who they were, I think we would have not only had a better understanding of their relationship, but like John Walker and Lamar as people as well. And so, like, I guess, not that I personally would have done it as like as a storyteller, because I think it's just a really bad plot point, but like, at least we would have had some understanding of then and felt something when like Lamar died and something like that. It was just like really, really weird, but I guess that's more of an episode 4 problem. But just in terms of Sharon, although you know what, I think it actually does tie into this, because like Lamar was nothing more than just like sort of like a plot point, and Sharon was nothing more than a plot point. Her writing was all over the place. They just molded her to fit whatever turns the narrative was going to take. And so it's just like with her reveal as the power broker, gasp, yeah, none of us saw that coming. It just and it doesn't really like, it doesn't add anything to the story. And so to play up like a big reveal like that doesn't add anything to the story, like, why spend your time just having this weird mic drop? It's weird. So yeah, that doesn't work. The post-credit scene is stupid. I'm really, really disappointed, because I thought for sure that in this series, I was like, okay, we're getting Sharon Carter. Great. They're actually going to be able to do something with her other than just have her pop in and out of, Captain America movies randomly and then just be discarded. No, they actually found a way to make her even worse. She's inconsistent with like who she was in the other movies, and like I understand that like she's gone through a lot of stuff, but it's like, well, it's so far removed that I don't buy it. So if you're gonna go that far, if you're gonna stray that far away from like who the character originally was, we need to see that, right? We need to see what they sort of go through in order for them to become that person. And then, yeah, her killing Carly was so like narratively unsatisfying that made absolutely like no sense in the grand scheme of things. And, again, just really dumb. So yeah, everything Sharon Carter was horrible in this series.
I will say that. Go ahead, Michael.
I was gonna say, I will say the ending, even though I hated the end, it was stupid because she's talking about her plans with the government. I'm like, you're on Capitol Hill with all these people around you. Like nobody heard this, but I was like, her whole conversation of like, we got access to government files and all that. I was like, oh, so Sharon Carter's a Skrull, right?
That's what I was going to hope to see. A moment of that. Yeah. That's what I was thinking they were going to go with that. With the whole face at the beginning of her face not being hers, and then at the end to have it not be her, that would have maybe played.
So that's literally the only way that they could fix her character, is if they're just like, oh, she's a Skrull. It's not really Sharon Carter. But
it could be.
But that's also like a cop
lazy.
Yeah.
It's lazy. It's lazy writing, man.
Yeah.
And then it kind of underdoes her doing the face thing. She shouldn't have, if she could just change face. What's the point of taking off?
Well, she wouldn't want to reveal it to everybody if she could.
Yeah. And I will say, going back to Griff's face within the face, going back to Griff's point, I guess, and again, I'm trying to find the positive with her. They did say episode 1 or 2 when Carly gets the text and I'm going to kill you. I guess she did come around and actually did kill Carly, as she said very early on in the season. So I guess she did have reason to kill her, technically speaking in the script. But I'm stretching there, I know. But
I totally forgot about that text.
Yeah, she said she's going to kill him. She kept her promise, I guess. Kolby, to wrap up the power broker, and well, of course we'll talk about Sharon at the end, but just this moment of that reveal, man.
I mean, like I said, we've all kind of talked about it. It wasn't a mystery to me. It's like, okay, I guess now I don't know who she was revealing it to. I guess only to the audience, even though like she's been very duplicitous the entire time. And like in my mind, I'm trying to understand the logic that she has been separated from her job in the CIA for what 7-8 years now.
Give or take.
I need to see. I need to see her be like more weathered and stuff like that. Like what's that done to her? You know, like Sam, I haven't seen you in such a long time. My goodness, I miss you. Like I like really like drumming it up so she can like pull the rug from underneath him when we need to now in this whatever sequel series or movie that's going to end up happening. Right? It's a real waste. Like that's not the type of threat that I need in this type of show, and I definitely wasn't expecting it. I feel bad. I don't say I feel bad for the actress. She's working. Fuck out of here. I feel bad that like her character is getting shitted on in such a way when like that's not what she signed up for. But it's just it's tough, man. I mean, this is out the hands of the actress, right? She's giving a good performance, right?
Yes.
I think we can all agree to that. The performances
they all are. They all are
great.
Yeah.
Her physical performance throughout the entirety of this episode and the rest of the series is exceptional, to be honest with you. Like I was like, oh yeah, she's giving me all the Black Widow vibes that I want, right? Inside the show. So like, yo, that's my one good thing there. But there's everything else. Like I'm big into payoff, and there was zero with that reveal. So I'm just like, oh, that was a waste of time.
Well said, man. And Michael, maybe you can speak to this because I know you're really deep into the comics, man. And not to play the whole like, well, in the comic book this happened, but I think in the comics, Agent 13 is one of the best spies in the MCU in regards to the spy espionage. I know she was a part of Captain America's death in one of the runs. So I don't know if Marvel's trying to play into that idea that she has this kind of good guy, bad guy, kind of gray character. And maybe that's what they're trying to do with Sharon Carter.
I mean, there's a theory that ultimately she's working for Nick Fury, that she's not really doing all these nefarious things.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing. Because this isn't Sharon Carter in the comic. Like I don't know who the fuck this is, but
it's the power broker.
It's the power broker, Mike.
That's what she said.
We'll see, man. Again, we'll talk about her at the end, but we do have a moment, I think, for the most part, and there's some execution maybe how it was handled, but I still think I think we talked about it earlier, but Sam's moment as the action was great, as we kind of talked about, but I think this was really the moment that Sam becomes Captain America, kind of what he stands for and what Cap stands for, and his kind of speech there. I don't know if I thought I had it in my phone here in regards to what he said, but yeah, here it is. Every time I pick up this thing, I know there are millions out there that are going to hate me for it. Even now, here, I hear it, the stares, the judgment, and there's nothing I can do to change their minds. Yet, I'm still here. No super serum, no blonde hair, blue eyes. They only have the power. The only power I have is that I believe we can do it together. So as you guys can see, everyone sees this. We got Torres, we got Isiah, we got Bucky, even John Walker hears this speech. Amanda, I think it was a little, kind of like after school special, the way it kind of was presented, but it's the words that he said that I thought really kind of resonated.
That is perfectly painted.
That's exactly.
Now, kids, what have you learned today?
But I do appreciate what he was saying, as that's to me when Sam became Captain America. Amanda, take it away.
I thought it was a moment for him. I really liked that shot with the wings, and he just like gracefully came down. Like I really like that. I'm gonna make that my desktop wallpaper.
Especially because he's holding the dead body of Carly, right?
Yeah, it was one. Let's celebrate. No, I'm joking. I'll find a better one. But I thought Mackie was like phenomenal in this. I loved his delivery. I thought it was really great. I obviously cried, but big surprise. But yeah, I understand where it may feel like an after school special, like you said, but at the same time, like Steve also kind of gave these speeches, but Sam's doing it in a different way where he's directly like talking to these senators, and like he's very straightforward. Yeah. He's like, this is what I'm seeing. This is like the experience that I'm having. I'm going to tell you straight out, and like I'm going to be very straightforward and let you know what's actually happening, and that they want to like work together, because he says that we have a common common ground like that they're fighting for. So I thought that it was really important that they showed that on screen, and it had like multiple screens, and then like just seeing Isiah watching that as well. So it's like it was a moment, I think, for Sam, I think for Mackie big time, and like that's when he became Captain America, like you said, Elliot. So I thought it was a moment. The writing was good. I understand that the execution is flawed. I understand, but I liked it. And then Bucky, you know, saying like, "Good job, Cap." Like, it was great. It was great. And like, that's literally my Twitter header right now, because I'm just so happy about that. Because besties, so I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good scene.
Yeah, I agree. Chris, man, your take on Captain America's speech to the world, man, and to the senator, and to, you know, there's a lot of good stuff that he said in there in regards to just kind of put it into context of the real world, right? The government has the power to feed people, to, you know, put the resources out there, and, you know, Captain America says that, man. I know you love it, Chris.
Ears. Look at the man's ears. This is our leader.
Those are sexy ears.
those are that's America's ears, Chris. Get it right.
Yes, America's ears right
those
there.
are America's ears.
Those are America's ears.
Respect on it, man.
All right, my fault, Cap. No, I think Michael in the beginning touched on kind of how I felt about it. Like, yes, I think the words are cool. I don't know if the context is like, I don't know if you'd be giving this speech in a street like that, like just like in front of like this regular crowd, like after this mission. I think all the words make sense. It's probably a little longer than it needed to be as far as like, TV wise. But I think the message is good if you listen to it. I'm sure people would be like, you know, it'll affect people a different way, and I'm sure like racially it'll be received differently. Is what I'm trying to say here. But yeah, it's what needed to be said, you know, and I hope he continues to say this, because it's not like you could just say it out on the street and people will listen. Like, you have to, you know, these are things you bring to like Congress and things like that. If you're going to be representing the country, you have to keep bringing these things up. But I thought it was, you know, it's a good speech. It was a good moment for Marvel. But again, a little, the cop scene from earlier in the season, we talked about it. It's like, yeah, did we just throw that in there just to throw it in, like just in the street like that? But it was cool. I like the moment of Bucky at the end, like, you know, embracing him and all that. Like, that was a good like little wrap up with it to it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, going off of what Chris was saying, and going back to that cop scene in episode 2, they don't trust the audience to understand what was just sort of like conveyed to them. Like, that cop scene is redundant because we understand what just happened, because we just had that moment with Isiah. So why would you repeat that in a way that just feels like
weaker than the moment we had inside?
Yeah, right.
I disagree with that, but
because because Bucky wasn't inside, so you had to sell it for Bucky.
Right.
What?
Like I said.
No, but yeah, the speech as a whole, like, that's fine. Like, I didn't really like hate it, and I think it's great. It's got nice sentiment behind it. I think it just all sort of comes down to like the way it was done, I guess. I don't know. Out of everything in the episode, that was one of the things that I didn't like hate. It was like that, and then I love the Isaiah Bradley stuff. So like, you know.
Yeah. Fair.
And toss it to you, Michael, in regards to if you have anything else to add about that scene, because we didn't have you on that episode as far as the cop scene. If you want to kind of discuss that, if you want to, or if you want to go ahead and dive into the Anthony Mackie as Captain America, man, stage is yours, man.
Well, I'll let Christine go first. I don't. Yeah. Well, we could keep the regular order. Okay, all right, I'll go.
Yeah, because I'll add in on that too. So go ahead.
Yeah.
To backtrack to episode 2, I didn't have a problem. See, we get to talk about something I actually enjoyed, because I'm like, dang, I feel like I'm the Debbie just talking shit about this whole episode. But yeah, the cop scene, I actually liked the cop scene, and I think it made sense for the story and the racialized angle that they were trying to tell, because it's not like that shit doesn't happen in real life. It's not like I can look outside right now and see cops on every corner of where I live, but they don't go to white neighborhoods. So the fact that the cops were in this black, and then you have these two, and granted, because I remember you guys saying, well, it wasn't like Bucky and Steve or Sam were arguing loud, like he should have pushed them, like doesn't make sense, but they were still loud. They were still aggressive to a certain extent with each other. And like, even just think of all the times that it happened, like anytime you see in black neighborhoods, cops are just randomly pulling people, like black kids could be on the corner just coming out of school, and the cops are like, whoop, whoop, what are you guys doing? So it made perfect sense that it happened in the scene. Like, I don't think it was for, like, it's reality. So you're going to show, the whole point of this show is showing reality. So I didn't have a problem.
And that, of course, it happens all the time. Like, I live in Harlem, like I get it. Like, it happens all the time, but it's like, you set the scene of like, these two kids are just hanging on the block, that they feel comfortable just to hang on the street, joking with Falcon on the way in. Isaiah's there with his kid. They come outside now. These cops pull up, whoop, 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 like make it so like then you don't see these kids like you don't know what this street is like. Like to me, I'm just like Disney said, we gotta throw in some cop scenes, but the cops are gonna be harassing some black folks, like, and then let's just throw it in here, like in a scene, like Griff said, like we just had the moment of like understanding the racial divide here, what's happening, and then you water it down with this whole like, is this guy bothering you? Like, I'm fucking Falcon, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm a celebrity. Like, I thought it was like.
But we see all the time in the media, celebrity status doesn't save you,
right?
From your blackness. And then not only that, but the cops, they weren't right there when the kids were playing outside. We saw them as they were arguing. We saw them pulling up. They were at like a stop sign.
It built up an idea that like, oh, these kids are out there having fun and joking around with random people on the street, and like it's like, just don't make the block like that. Then just make like take the kids out of it. And then it's like, oh, you're like, what are you guys doing in this neighborhood? Like what's going on here? Like before he even pulls up at Isaiah's house, like I didn't see like why it made sense, and I knew what they wanted to do, and they threw it there. I'm not saying it's like just like throw it away. This is nonsense, but I was just like, okay. I watched that thing like, oh, they're doing a Black Lives Matter thing just because they need that there, even though we just talked to Isiah about racial inequality in this country. I got why they did it. I just felt it was like.
But the last thing I'll say though is the thing I understand about it, because the Isaiah Bradley racialized inequality, because a lot of people think, especially when it comes to like race, like even when you learn in school, like, oh, racism was solved after 1965 when Martin Luther King had a dream. So everything Isaiah was talking about was in the past. But you have to show that this shit still happens in reality, and it doesn't. And Falcon being Falcon doesn't save him. Right. So that's why.
Then I would have had the cops take him when he's fighting with Wyatt. Then he's fighting with before he's Asian. He's fighting with fake Cap, and he's like, and it's like Captain does like fake Cap does something wrong. They blame it on Falcon. Falcon gets taken in. It's like that's what
I honestly thought was gonna happen. I thought that's what the crux of the show was. That somehow what was gonna like make John turn was he was gonna do something bad, and he was gonna pawn it off on the black guy. Like that's what I thought this show was was gonna be, was them being on the run and stuff like that, and have to find a way. I actually like that cop scene more than I like the initial Isaiah Bradley scene. Because one, I didn't understand why do we go there? What would propel Bucky to take Sam there? The way that scene was reading, and I've spoken to a lot of people who watched it, made it seem as, hey, Sam, I need you to understand what you gave up when you gave up the shield. I don't need no white man telling me about like what it is to be black and why I decided to make a decision. So you don't get to tell me that. Like, so that's why that scene read really, really wrong to me. So I was like, quickly, like, just we need to move away from this, right? Because there's no way that like, hey, we should talk to some guy who hasn't been like involved with the military at all for decades about a possible super soldier serum. You know what you could do? Go talk to SHIELD or the Sword or anybody else that you work with. They probably have a better idea.
Hey, I'll say this. I'll say, and this is why I love Captain America. It's at least they're having the conversation, right? Or at least they're having the context in there for us to have these discussions, which, by the way, I appreciate you all kind of diving into this, because this is what, again, I know some people, there was some comment about woke and whatever with Disney and stuff like that. But I'm liking that, at least for the first time in a very long time, or maybe ever, with Marvel, they're at least having the conversation. Sure, the execution might be a little up and down, but at least we're starting to have the conversation to kind of dive into. But again, Michael,
people don't have to put it in there. Like Disney doesn't have to put this in there. So like I can make fun of it or like question it all I want, but like they don't have to add this. So I'm like, respect.
And if you do add it, really go for it. Like they went nowhere. Like it's never brought up again. Like it's like it's a shown, and then it's never a thing. Oh, why? Like I want to know why can't Sam like. What's the economics of these superheroes? Why can't Sam get a loan? How does he get paid? How does he like establish
that
a living?
Was something that I wish that we went back to.
I spoke to somebody that actually is in the military, and he said, Grant, I understand why they put that scene in there for the bank loan, but it actually doesn't make sense for Sam to need a loan, because that first mission that he did in the beginning of episode 1, that alone should have net him minimum $200,000.
Yeah, like
he's been doing multiple missions. So he should have money. Sam should have money.
He should.
So
good point.
Which kind of leads more to Sam as a character, because he even says in that episode or that scene how, it's just been on goodwill, which he should have been asking for payment. And I think that I know somebody said that Sam knows who he was. I think he was also dealing with self-esteem issues, and not really knowing and owning who he is and could be. I felt like throughout the series, he didn't feel like he was good enough to be Cap, whereas naturally he was doing the same things that Steve Rogers would have done, like having the conversation with Carly versus barging and just trying to beat her up. So I think that he has been having which is a Black conversation as well, self-value. How much should you charge? How much should you charge at all type of situation? So I think that ties to that. Into the cop scene, I appreciate that Disney included it. I do agree that they didn't go full throttle, right? But I do feel like it was brave of Disney. It was unexpected in regards to watching Disney do this thing. But I appreciated that they did it. I appreciated that they included it in this series. In regards to his speech, I loved his speech. And I know that my husband even argued. He's like, why didn't he have the speech in that press room, in the courtroom, right? Why didn't he do it there? I feel like the timing he had it is arguable to do it right after they just had this life-threatening. They almost died, right? So they value their lives in this moment. They value
more receptive.
They're more receptive. They're more vulnerable. Versus after that, going back to their mansions, getting pampered, and then, all right, let me get driven to this this court meeting with the press and everything, and then having the conversation. They've had a moment to get comfortable again, versus it's right after the Band-Aid's been ripped off. You almost died. We need to have this conversation now. Plus the world is watching. The world can hold them accountable for what he's talking about.
Was it a little long for you though?
I think that's arguable. Like, someone could say it's a little long. I didn't mind it. You could say that it was a little long, especially with the back and forth where the guy kept telling him, you don't understand. And he's like, I do understand. He's like, you don't understand. And then he had to come back. So you can argue that it could have been a little long. However, I was excited at that opportunity. You guys had mentioned how Steve had done this stuff, but Steve didn't really talk directly to a lot of people. He was rallying up his team as, this is why we got to do what we got to do. Whereas Sam was like, nah, bro, I'm talking to you. You got the money to change this. You got the power to change it. Make the change. And I think that it was very important and very needed. We can argue specific execution and things like that. But like I said, I loved his speech. I was moved. I almost cried. I didn't cry, but I almost cried. So you're not alone, Amanda. I was very moved. And then at the end, I didn't like seeing John when he did the little nod to John. I was like, go to the courtroom and change there. But like, I did like when he said, all right, Cap, and that picture that you had up, I was like, that was fire. Yeah, I freaking love it because it's extra ceiling on the I am Captain America now. I cringed when he vocalized it, right? I did not like that he vocalized it when he was flying in. Oh, what do we call you? Black Cap? Black Falcon? Falcon, what are you? And he's like, Captain, and I heard Captain Falcon, and I was like, yes, they said it. I've been saying it this whole series. So I was happy they said that. But when he said, I'm Captain America, I was like, oh, I didn't like it. But if they had taken that out and left the speech and the Cap moment with Bucky, that would have been like just icing. It was great.
I randomly also like a quick point. I randomly also like that Bucky he always wanted Sam to be great. Like Bucky never thought at one moment I should be Captain America. He always wanted Sam to do this.
Good point.
And he's like always been like supportive. So like I've always been down. Like he's like, oh, okay. Like and like he could say like as Steve's best friend, like there's never going to be another. He's like, no, you're the man now. Like, and I always respected Bucky for that.
Yeah,
that's why it's weird when there'll be comments that like before the show and stuff like that where it's like, oh, it's gonna be a fight. Who's gonna be Captain? Who's gonna take up the mantle?
Bucky,
no. Bucky always was on board. Like if you look at the events after Avengers Endgame, and even vocalize it here, he says when Steve and I discussed it, like we knew that it was gonna be you. When he sees Steve appear on that bench, like he gives that nod, like, yo, go for it, bro. Like this is the moment that Steve and I talked about. Like, so he's always had his blessing. It's never been about like, yo, you're like, you can't handle this mantle. That's why it hurt Bucky because he knew what that shield meant and like that he wasn't willing to take it on. And I'm glad that Bucky was able to go on a lesson to understand why that was such a weight for him to take on. Because it's not just like, oh, my friend is giving me this and I feel like I'm not up to the challenge. No. I need to become a symbol, and that shield does not mean the same thing for everybody. Like to you, it means something because you're a man from the 40s. But like to people like Isaiah Bradley, like when he says, "I don't want to see them stars and stripes," that don't mean nothing to me. I do like the fact that involved with that speech and also talking about that. Yo, we're fortunate in this country. The thing is, like, we have the ability. We collectively, we as Americans have the ability to fix a lot of the things that ails us in this country, but we don't want to because we don't want to give up power. We don't want to give up our access to power, and we don't want to get uncomfortable. In order to fix the things that like are broken in this society, we have to get uncomfortable. We have to give up power. We don't want to do that.
Well said, man. And Griff.
No,
go ahead.
I was gonna say regarding the speech, and I didn't say what I thought about the speech. Yeah. I love the words of the speech. I thought it was something that was needed to be said. Words that need to be heard. But I think narratively speaking, for Sam Wilson to come out and say the speech, I don't know if he got there yet, because even certain things that he was saying, where one of the senators was like, "You don't know what you're talking about." He's like, "I'm a black man wearing the stars and stripes." Of course I know. I'm like, do you though? Because everything that I've seen before this shows that Sam didn't really understand what it was like. Like even the conversation that he had with Isaiah Bradley, and that I feel like he was disrespectful and dismissive to Isaiah Bradley in episode 5 when he was like, "Oh, I'm not here for your bitter old black man stuff," knowing this man's story, knowing that this man was experimenting on to the point that he wanted to destroy the shield in episode 3. But then when he actually has a conversation for him, he's like, "Oh, I'm not here for your bitter old black man stuff. I'm here to try to understand." Or you could have been the next Captain America in the 50s, bro, when they were lynching black people, when we couldn't even vote in this country, and you thought he could have been Captain America. Like, so for him to say, "Oh, I feel like the speech was written for white people, because they don't, we got the Captain, we got Captain America, we got this black Captain America. You can't have him be the angry black man. You can't have him say what he really feels, because he has to appeal to everybody. He can't just be, he can't be the black Captain America." That's why you had Sam have that when the moment in episode 4 or whatever, where he had that kid. It's like, "Oh, it's Black Falcon," and he was like, "What do they call you, black kid?" I'm like, "Yeah, they do call me a black kid. I'm a black man, so you're Falcon." And granted, I understand there's a whole dichotomy of like black characters always being called Black Panther, Black Vulcan, Black Lightning. Like, so I get there was a black film, black TV show. Black movie. Yeah. So I mean, I get what they were trying to say with that, but like for Sam to, I don't know, I just feel like they're trying to make him more centrist to appeal to everyone. So like I said, I like the words of the speech.
Right.
But for it to come from Sam, like it felt like Sam needed to read like the new Jim Crow and everything, like that conversation that he had with Isaiah being so dismissive, and then all of a sudden it's like, "Oh yeah, I'm the black Captain America." Yeah, like it did, narratively speaking, from what they said in other episodes, like to me, it didn't make sense that he's all of a sudden at this moment.
Was this?
I would say I want to jump in
5 and 6 again.
With that, like one thing I've repeated to my husband is that in this series, Sam doesn't speak above a whisper pretty much the whole entire series.
I was
he doesn't
really
get shaken. Yeah. He doesn't really get a lot of emotion. And I think that the writers, they too much wanted to avoid angry black man. For him. Because they had Isaiah kind of fill in that role to some degree, right? And we've from week to week when we've talked about it on my podcast, my friends were like, if I was in that situation, I would have blown up. At the bank scene, would have been like angry and upset and very like very visually upset. Versus, come on, man, are you serious? It's pretty much the most angry he gets throughout the whole series. So for me, that's why the speech, I was like, thank you. Finally, you're saying something about it. But I do agree that I wanted him to get angry. I mean, he didn't have to be like angry black man, what they were really trying to avoid. But I think they were trying to avoid it so much so that it seemed like Sam was almost unaffected by.
And when I say angry, like I don't necessarily mean like he has to. Yeah, I was gonna say he doesn't have to yell at them, call them, curse them out, and everything like that. But even during the conversation, it felt very kumbaya, my lord. Like funny, like literally as I was watching, as he was giving the speech, right when he was done, I was like, so racism's over, because that's how it felt like Marvel. That's how it felt like Marvel was trying to do. Like he gave the speech, like especially considering all the narrative that they were trying to tell, especially with like them not wanting this black man to be Captain America. Now all of a sudden you do have this black man to be being Captain America, the same white man, the same white senator that didn't want him to be Captain America, and now he's telling the world like, "Oh yeah, you guys have the power to help the world." It's like that's not how reality works, and it felt very easy. Now all of a sudden, because you got this black man giving this speech about the right, like we're in a pandemic right now. In America, we still can't even get universal health care. And so even with this, like, and going far enough with the conversation, like not at one point because talking about the government and everything like that, and even going to more what Kolby was saying, not at one point did Sam call out white supremacy, saying, "Oh, you guys could do things, you guys could with a phone call, you could feed the hungry." Like, who are the ones that are not feeding the hungry? Who are the ones that are in power? Because even if you think about the Flag Smashers, all of the Flag Smashers were people of color. Well, not all, but damn near all of them.
Yeah, the majority.
Yeah,
And,
the majority.
and not at one point did he call out white supremacy as the black Captain America, the one that's supposed to represent everybody, the one that's supposed to do things differently. It's like, well, if you're not going to call out white supremacy, you're not really that different from Steve, because Steve has his blind spots too. Yeah. And Bucky kind of even mentioned that in episode 5 when he was like, yeah, we didn't even consider it, but I at least appreciated that he apologized. That's something I feel like a lot of, if white people would apologize more, we wouldn't have as many problems as we have.
You know what's whack? Like, now that you just said that, is the fact that because he's the Black Captain America, the responsibility is on him to have to vocalize this. But when Steve was Captain America, he had to touch on any of this shit. Because if you think about it, in no movie is he ever trying to like appeal to like an ideal of like, oh, I need to like combat what America's like failing at for its American citizens, right? But it seems like because now Sam has this role, this is his responsibility, and that is the plight of being black in America. That only we have to deal with the weight of everything that's going on, right? Because it's if there's a problem, well then you present us. Y'all the one that created the problem. Fix it.
White people. Yeah, racism is created by y'all. Y'all need to be the one to get rid of it. But even with Sam, I mean, going forward, even with Steve, I feel like that's something that happens in the comics. Like the whole dichotomy of civil. I'm not talking about him calling stuff out. I'm talking about the dichotomy of like, you think of like mutants being for civil rights and things like that. Anytime he comes against mutants are always calling Steve Rogers out of like, you're never here for mutants. You're always here for everybody else. But when we cry for help, mutants and everything, so it's almost the same dichotomy with him not being.
Never made
he's on brand.
A speech like this. Steve has never made a public speech as we've seen him in the MCU.
No,
never. As Captain America, except when he was doing the tours in regards to get your bearer bonds or whatever like that.
Yeah, and I know people always talk about woke. They don't want to be woke, and
that's the thing. It's like, oh, being woke, but like it's funny. The black man is Captain America. Now he's woke, but he's doing the very thing that Steve never did.
And I know people, because Elliot mentioned somebody's talking about woke Marvel and everything. It's like comics are woke. Like everything about comics is politics. We're talking about Captain America. First issue, he was punching out. I don't want to say the N-word because we're on YouTube. I don't want to get this video flagged, but he was punching out the person. You know who I'm talking about. X-Men is a amalgam for the civil rights movement, gay rights movement, women's rights movement. You have Kitty Pryde talking about her Jewish heritage, how she doesn't want to get that censored. You have gay couples in comics. You have a whole. They talk. A woman, Mockingbird was where talk to me about my feminist agenda. So, you got Star Wars taking out a fascist regime. So if you can't handle the politics in comics, and you're talking about keep your politics out, go watch the Fast and Furious, which is just brainless fun. Comics is all politics.
Hey, but like you were saying, really, I'm sorry, just to jump in off of what you're saying, the Isaiah Bradley run, Truth, Red, White, and Black. Like it is extremely. You like, some people like, this is on the nose for the show. It is issue to issue, page to page, like smacking you with how the black soldiers were affected and how being black was for lack of a better word, a deficit in that situation, how they were treated and how the lieutenants and sergeants were treating them. They called them animals. They called them pigs. They did not care. They did not value their lives. They're like, they are less than human. And that was something that they did in the comic book. So I agree. If someone's like, hey, this season was too much racism for me. Well, you're in the wrong league, bruh.
Yeah.
Well said. I mean, this is why I want to have this discussion and bring these panelists together, because this is what the show has to offer. This is the conversation that it had to offer, and I appreciate you guys dive into this conversation, because again, this conversation can be uncomfortable for a lot of people. As we know, a lot of people have tuned out of Falcon and Winter Soldier because it dives into some of these conversations. So I appreciate you guys diving into the conversation with us. And again, Griff, your take on this, this moment here, man. I know we've said a lot and bounced around for episode 2 and kind of how they've handled the racism, but in regards to anything you want to add to the discussion, man, as well as Captain America's speech to the public.
I mean, I think Michael took all the words right out of my mouth.
Honestly, I love that they
agree with every single thing that he was saying, and that's sort of the problem. Is that the scene in theory, like it's great. Like I like what they're trying to get at for sure, but it is like it's sanitized for white people, right? Of course, like that's sort of the thing. And then like Sam as a character, I don't feel like he ever really reached that point where he was like he had a definitive stance on stuff, and then he had like other really weird contradictory lines throughout the course of the show, like when Zemo's talking about eradicating the world of super soldiers, and then Sam comes back to him and he's like, isn't that how gods talk? It was just like a really weird line from him, because it's like, well, it's like, Sam, why would you not be for like getting rid of something that creates a hierarchical like supremacy sort of thing? Like that just feels like really, really weird to me that he would say something like that. It's almost like that was the line written for Bucky, but then they didn't have Bucky comment on like being a super soldier and what that means. And like, you're literally dealing with a character who is who wants to eradicate the world of super soldiers, and you are a super soldier. Do you just not care? Like there was a lot of weird stuff like that has sort of been in the series as a whole, and then you get to this final episode and they just try and, you know, brush it under the rug. So yeah, I agree with you. And then even going back to that last Isaiah Bradley scene, for as much as I like it, like Isaiah Bradley tries to call out and criticize Steve Rogers as Captain America, and I'm like, yes, okay, let's do this. Let's be allowed to criticize our heroes because they're not perfect people. So let's do that. And then Sam has that line where he's like, no, he's not your problem. And it's like, you can't even let like you're like this guy who's like, you're trying to hear him out and hear a story and hear the struggles he's gone through. You're not even gonna like allow him to criticize the person that like set this whole thing in motion, whether intentionally or not. So that was just another really bizarre line that doesn't line up with like the characterization of Sam Wilson. And I think that's the problem, is like Sam is like not a consistent character throughout. And then we get to this last moment and it's like, okay, cool. Where was any of that prior to now?
Yeah, I think there's some things that was done well with the Sam character, but I think you guys, Christine and Michael and Kolby and everyone on the panel, regarding how to handle the character, not being over, like you guys said, the angry black man, not being too conservative. It's a line that I'm interested to see what they do. We'll talk about him in Captain America 4, but it was kind of mishandled at points. I could definitely agree with that. But I think this next scene where I think was the best part of the episode. And before we even go to that, Kolby, I don't want to neglect your part of the speech, man. Did you have any more to add?
We said so much.
Yeah,
we covered the gamut on that speech. I think it was important. We may have some issues in regards to exact execution and what is he really saying or what should he have really said. But I think we covered it all.
Definitely. And again, I appreciate this panelists and everyone having this discussion, because again, it's not an easy discussion to have, but I appreciate you guys having it with me. So we do get, as we wrap up the episode, I don't know if you guys have anything to add to Zemo and what to expect for the character next in regards to him getting his mission complete, essentially killing off the rest of the Flag Smashers in a jail cell and his butler doing so. Starting with you, Amanda, did you have that arc for Zemo, and I guess what next for him, because his purpose has been served, and it's been twice now in MCU. T'Challa, he was ready for his death then, as well as he was ready for Bucky to kill him last episode, and he continues to have more to do in the MCU. What next for Zemo?
I have no idea, to be perfectly honest. I have no idea. I don't know anymore, to be honest. Like what? Like I thought it was perfectly like
more dancing, I guess.
I don't know, more dancing. Sure.
Yeah, open up a dance club,
class, like something. I don't know what he's gonna do, but I thought it kind of just ended perfectly for him.
Yeah, I
am kind of upset that we didn't maybe see him again in the finale, but of course there's like 5 million other people that we have to deal with. Right. But there was another shot of him that we saw in the trailers that he put his mask down. So I'm like, I don't know where that is. They probably cut it out or whatever, but like, I honestly have no idea. I want to see him again for sure. But like, if we don't, then I'm kind of like, also okay with that, if that makes any sense. Like I don't know.
No, I hear you. I really don't know what his motives is anymore. He got the super soldiers. I mean, there's still some out there, but I think for his sake, I think his job has been accomplished. So Chris, man, did you have any how do you feel that the arc was handled for Zemo and what next for this character, man?
Yeah, I didn't know if I was expecting to see Zemo before the show started, but I was happy to see him. I was kind of cool with how he went overall. I mean, especially compared to like watching Sharon's nonsense and like not caring about the Flag Smashers minus Carly. So I was cool with it. And because of Zemo, we got Wakanda, so I'm all good.
Very true. Christine, Zemo's story being wrapped up in a satisfying manner, in your opinion, and what can we expect? A lot of people are theorizing where he's at now opens the door for Thunderbolts and him working with General Ross and all the Dark Avengers, if you want to call him that. What to expect now from Mr. Baron Zemo?
I liked his closing out. Like, I thought that was a really, really good scene. That moment with Bucky and then the Dora Milaje coming up and taking him away and him having this moment of acceptance. I accept this is the end of freedom, because he didn't die. But like, I don't know if, because he was another character. I do feel like, even though I enjoyed him sometimes, I felt like he wasn't fleshed out, especially with how he was in Civil War. And I know we can't really, the bridge can't really continue, but I guess yes, it can, because this is a continuous series. Each series is a continuous piece of the storyline. It's kind of like Star Wars, but different titles and different characters that they're zeroing in on. And so I do feel like he was very different from who he was in Civil War. Civil War, he was very weeby. He was very like, he didn't seem to have the status and swag. And this series, he had a lot of swag, a lot of status that I was like, where did this come from? But I did enjoy his character. But also, I don't feel like I got a lot from his character. Like you had mentioned, he seemed kind of unclear. Like it seemed like he had one goal, but then it also seemed like he had other goals. Like in that conversation with the doctor, why wouldn't you try to get all the information out before just shooting him and killing him? And then he left and then came back. And there was a couple of times where he would leave them and come back. And then the weird thing, the conversation he had with the little girl, where he's like, oh, those guys are bad guys, don't give them the information. Mm-hmm. But they didn't even try to talk to the little girl either. Yeah. So I was like, that was kind of like a nonsense line or a throwaway line. It made no sense to me. Because then he led them to where they were supposed to go anyways. So it was just, he seemed kind of inconsistent. So if they do it and they, bring him back again and maybe give him a little bit more storyline, a little bit more depth. Mm-hmm. Who is this? You called him not Alfred? Like this guy that just came up. How did he have the power or knowledge to, okay, at this time and date, they're going to have this car, so this is the one you
truck.
Need to,
that's a great point.
Yeah, to bomb that. I mean, it was a fun moment, but at the same time, it was like, how is this orchestrated? But whatever. So
he's a Zemo. He's a Baron, I guess. So, he's Batman. Michael, man, did you have any say on Mr. Zemo's arc in this? Did you feel like it was something that we needed in the show? Ultimately, did they wrap it up properly? And what next for this character?
I mean, overall, yeah, I like Zemo's arc. I do feel like they're obviously going to set him up for like Thunderbolts.
That's what it's looking. Yeah, it's pretty on the nose at this point. Yeah,
because Marvel loves killing their villains. I'm really hoping they didn't kill Batroc, because Batroc is a reoccurring villain a lot of times in comics, and so I'm like, and plus George St. Pierre, he's one of the best fighters in stunt choreography. So I would like to see more of his character, maybe being a reoccurring antagonist for Sam. Now that we know he's getting his own movie and things like that. But I think Zemo is going to be in Thunderbolts. He's definitely going to, or whatever Contessa is going to probably pull some strings, and break him out for whatever she's doing. So I'm here to see more Daniel Bruhl. So
definitely,
I'm excited to see where he pops up next.
Griff, same question for you, man, regarding this arc for Zemo. A conclusion that you enjoyed, and again, where do you see them having this character be brought back in the MCU?
When they reintroduced him, they sort of like recharacterized him, so that was like a little jarring, just because like I think when we saw him in Civil War, yes, he was like ex-special forces, ex-military, who was like, his family was killed and wronged by the Avengers, but he like still felt like an everyday person who was just trying to get revenge on on like the the powers that be, billionaires and so forth, that just like ruined his life. And then we see him in this show and it's like, oh no, he's Eastern European royalty, and I'm like, okay, all right, whatever. By
the way, gotta play.
I mean, like it makes sense of the, I guess, how he was able to concoct his plan in Civil War, but I know that it was really just done to make him a more comic accurate version of that character, which is annoying. But once I got over that hurdle, I really liked him because I thought he was kind of the voice of reason that no one listened to throughout the entire show. But my only problem is that similar to Sharon, but to a lesser extent, he was really just a plot device. He really didn't amount to much in the grand scheme of things, and I didn't like how basically they just had him show up in order to help the protagonist, and then they just sort of like put him in prison, and it was just like, okay, you just cut his arc off there. I thought there was something more interesting that was going to go on with him there, and then yeah, like the last episode, he blows up the truck of Flag Smashers, which is in line with his character, but it's also just, I don't know. Again, the way the Flag Smashers were treated, I just don't really like. But it's consistent with Zemo's character. Yeah. And so I mean, I'll be curious to see what they do with him. But I really love Daniel Bruhl, and I think Zemo is a fascinating individual. So I'm definitely looking forward to more of him.
I agree, man. It's almost like going back to how we talked about with WandaVision. If you didn't watch the show, it would make storyline sense where you would see the character again. So the next time, if someone didn't watch Falcon Winter Soldier, I would have first off, I would assume he was going to be in the raft in prison anyway. I don't know what kind of jail he was in, being the number one terrorist in the world. So I guess for someone that didn't watch Falcon Winter Soldier, they see Baron Zemo again. He's in the raft, and go to Michael point, the Thunderbolts would make more sense for someone that hasn't watched the show, because his arc really, I don't even think you have to watch the show to see his arc from Civil War to seeing him again on the big screen.
Right.
So
he's very much inconsequential in regards to the series. You know, I mean, it's great to be able to see him. Like, oh, great, we got Baron Zemo back, because I feel like he was interesting. He was interesting in how he was utilized in Civil War, because he was so not what we knew from him from the comics and from like the animated series of what I was used to. Right? It's like, they're doing a completely different take. So it's like, oh, now we can kind of get a more comic accurate Zemo, who is a bit more of a menace and a pest, and but then we still don't get him. So I hope that just going forward, I can be able to get more of him. I like for me, make this show redeem itself, I needed him to be the overarching, criminal mastermind. And he wasn't that. And I feel very much let down from it. Like, Daniel Bruhl's still great. I did not watch the Bruhl cut or whatever that stuff was.
The hour long of dancing.
Why? Like, are you kidding me?
And why is it that you're punch? It's like he was trying to punch this way, but up and down all at the same time.
It's like I have the shake weight and I'm dancing at the same time too. But like, I don't know. It was really weird. But he just, if all he was just to be able to be set up for Thunderbolts, that's a waste.
Yes, that's where it looks like it's headed, but we'll see what happens with the character. But I know one of our my co-hosts actually has to head out in a little bit, Mr. Chris, man. Before you head out, my friend, as I said up top, and I want to reiterate that you and Amanda every single week, man. I definitely want to have more discussions about panels in the future, man. But I'm so appreciative of your time, my friend, the friendship we've built, your takes on things. I know Cap, Mr. Falcon, Sam is your boy moving forward. But Chris, man, before you head out, my friend, where can the people find you, and what's next on Tate's Take, my friend?
Yo, I'm moving to Madripoor. I'm out.
Where dreams come true, Madripoor.
Yeah, you could come up apparently. I want to be like Sharon. Get all the art. Y'all can find me at Tate's Take. I'm doing videos every week, TV reviews, movie show, movies, documentaries, all that stuff. But I don't want to derail from that stuff with my plugs. I just want to say thank you to E for putting me on this platform, getting to talk Wanda and now Falcon with you and Amanda's been dope. And every week, you just amaze me with the people that you bring. Like Michael, this guy's an encyclopedia, so I'm gonna just keep hitting him up for stuff when I'm fighting in the streets debating Marvel stuff. So just keep your phone on you. Christine, you put me on with your people, man, and that was such a cool journey, man. Your tribe is legit, so just keep doing your thing, Griff. You are a film genius, so I watched your essays so I could feel smarter. That's public service right there. So thank you. And Kolby, this week, Kolby, you're the new one. So I've already just your takes have been dope today. So I'm looking forward to following you and seeing what kind of content you're putting out. So again, just thank you. Y'all got stuff to talk about. I'm gonna get out of your hair, but I'm gonna see y'all on the next you know, on the next ride. I'm gonna see Mortal Kombat just soon. Just give me a couple.
Hit
me up on Instagram. Let me know what you think.
Definitely hit me up, my friend. Hey, Chris, again, man, it's an honor and a privilege, man. And we'll be talking soon, my friend. You be safe and enjoy that Mortal Kombat, man.
You see how you said it all? It's kind of
But you don't want to say anything. So
no. I love y'all. Peace.
Take care, man.
Take care.
So,
Elliot, really quick, can we?
Yes,
I want to. There's a comment that I see that I wanted to address from Lady M05. Why is no one acknowledging that you have a black lead actor, a black head writer, and a woman director? They were not given what they needed to succeed. Let's give them a break. And because I was thinking about this, because I know for this particular episode, a lot of us are being very negative. But overall, and I've said, this is why I made sure to say this in my opening thoughts. Like, I've loved this show for every single episode, and I love the fact that you have a black, it's Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I talked about this on my own channel. It's Falcon and the Winter Soldier, not the Winter Soldier and Falcon. And the fact that you got Malcolm Spellman, you got Kari. I can't think of her last name, but Kari something. It starts with an S, directing every single episode. Yeah, so I'm like, I'm here for all of that. It's just this one particular episode I personally didn't like, but if there are people out there that did love this episode, that's great. Like, the wonderful thing about art and entertainment is it's all subject. Sometimes we get in our feelings of if somebody doesn't have the same opinion we do, we almost feel personally attacked. If you love this episode, that is great for you. I love that you love this episode, but I'm the one that's on the panel, so like this is my opinion, and my opinion is not more right than yours. Like it's all opinion based. Because I see I see some people like, oh, you guys are tripping over this episode. Like, what is it like? It's our opinion. It's not right. It's not wrong. It's just what I think. So.
I agree. I think with that, it's there's a line. I feel like everybody's been respectful. Nobody's like, oh man, the writer and the director should lose their jobs. They should never work in Hollywood. I'm not saying and none of us are even like, hey, let's boycott the show because we didn't like this or that. I think when it comes to let's give them a break. I think you have to look at the whole picture. If we were trashing the show, then yes, I get you being like, hey, give them a break. Let's celebrate these things. Or if we were even trashing what they did or who they were as people, like sending them letters. And that's not the case. A lot of us have been, or all of us, everyone on this panel today has been very respectful and sharing their opinion of what they liked. And also we critiqued it. How could it have been better? We're not just like, it's trash and garbage. You'll never watch this thing again. We've been very respectful. So I think the whole picture should be looked at when things like this are said.
Well said, and I'll just put a button on that. If we didn't enjoy this show or these characters or Marvel, we wouldn't be so passionate about it, right? That's just a good thing what Marvel's doing. It's these conversations, it's these debates, it's these conversations that we have, and so it kind of goes into, like you just said, Christine. If this was trash, there's no way we would be talking about this for 2.5 hours, right? So
I'm like, look at my back. I have nothing but Marvel Legends.
Marvel
Legends behind me.
This whole time.
A whole thing of Marvel Legends. This is my X-Men shelf. This is my Avengers shelf. I have Fantastic Four down. Like, it's so I am definitely a fan. I'm clearly wearing a Marvel shirt. My name is Black Gay Comic Geek. So it's
Well said, man. And just a couple more points I wanted to bring to the panel before we call it a day. One being, I don't want to neglect, because like we said, it is called Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So to that point, starting with you, Amanda, Bucky, and I guess this is an interesting question to kind of bring to the panel. Does he go by Winter Soldier moving forward? His goodbye to that character and taking on Bucky Barnes. He goes by White Wolf with the Wakandans, but also he says in that moment, which I wish we would have sat in that scene a little bit longer, when he reveals that he was the cause of his, number one, and the gentleman didn't know how his son died. He was murdered. I just wish we would have sat in that scene just a little bit longer, but I do understand what the scene meant. It really didn't have to be his friend being mad or being happy or thanking him. It was just for Bucky to say what he did and to get that off his chest. But I just want to talk to you, Amanda, in regards to that scene and saying goodbye to Winter Soldier. I mean, it did feel rushed. Like, the whole episode, the whole season, it did. Like, that's it. That's all we can really say. But in that moment, I liked it. I liked that he went back. Sebastian Stan gave a great performance too. He really felt it. He sold it. And I just think that there's closure for him in his own mind and his identity and who he is. And like, I don't mind that they still call him the Winter Soldier. Like, it's not something that bothers me. Just because
he can still change the mind of people moving forward about who the Winter Soldier is.
It means something different now.
You know what I mean? Like it's up to him essentially. Like people call him that. It's like I don't think it's necessary for him to like change his name just because of the history that came with it. Like everyone knows, but also he has the power to like change that himself, I think. And it's a totally different Bucky. Like totally different. He's smiling. He's like Uncle Buck, like down, you know what I mean, with like Sam and everyone. So I thought it was just different. And like I think that Sam also brings that out of him. And that's why their relationship is just so important, because Sam also gives him that comfort and that ability to just finally be himself and like help him, and like vice versa, and like understanding that like the job that comes with being an Avenger and you know, the connection to Steve and all of that, like they have that bond and they formed it over 6 episodes. So I think that like there's a Captain America, there's always going to be a Winter Soldier, there's always going to be a Bucky Barnes. And I think that it just flows beautifully with that connection. And that I think that Bucky just kind of needs to be Bucky for a bit in a way. Like the Winter Soldier's still there, but like let him be Bucky and explore his own identity and who he is, because he like gave the book to the therapist. So like he crossed the names out and like he did what he had to do. So I think he's just in a place where maybe he does feel at peace and he does feel whole. So I think that's really awesome.
Well said, Amanda. Christine, in regards to Bucky's story and letting go of what Amanda just said of what the Winter Soldier meant for so long, and kind of understanding what the Winter Soldier can be moving forward, and how do you feel about this scene and you know, what next for Bucky?
I would say if he goes back to the swag that he had in Winter Soldier and Civil War, then call yourself, you know, Humpty Dumpty. I don't care. I feel like in this series, he only had one solid swag, and that was the flashback. That was the flashback moment was the only with the long hair. I mean, he doesn't have to keep the long hair, but the long hair and the mask, you see the action.
It's maybe a Samson thing. I think he kind of lost his swag when he cut his hair.
But I did one thing. I like him with the short hair. The season, I mean, he's sexy. That when he had that nod and he would give those nods to Sarah, I was hoping for. I know you wanted a Bucky and Sam thing, but I was hoping for a Bucky and Sarah. Like, you know,
well, they did tease. They did. I made a whole video about this on TikTok, but they've queer baited Bucky a lot. They did tease that he's bisexual. I'm not going to go into that, but go look at my TikTok video.
Go on both sides, but I want him to have a moment with Sarah. If he wants to go with the siblings, that's cool. But start with Sarah. I want a Sarah moment. Okay, I want.
I'm like at the end of the day, he either wants to be in a Wilson or Wilson's going to be in him, and that's all I'll say. I'll shut up after that.
Well, hopefully the first one. I really wanted Sarah's situation. But like as far as there's one dope knife scene, and that's with the Dora Milaje. They had the fire in this series, right? With that moment, and he did that, like throwing the knife at the ground. Outside of that, he didn't really have a lot of swag. So it's cool that he is finding a way to work through the nightmares and the troubles and the torture, the PTSD and all of that stuff. And I value that you took the time to circle back to the father and tell him and give him closure, because that was really messed up that you're having sushi with him, knowing you killed his son. It's like, hey, you passed the sake. Oh, by the way, I killed your son. So I'm glad that they did circle back, but I just hope that whatever his story is going to be going forward, that they bring back the fighting swag. You can have the fighting swag 100%. With you were injected, you were indoctrinated, you were trained. That's not something that should just go away because you cut your hair. Like you should, keep that going. So
in Winter Soldier, he was like he was a menace. Like he was a
Terminator.
problem.
Yeah, he was a Terminator. Yes.
Like I miss hearing the gear shift in his arm. Yeah. Right. Like there was something that was so imposing about him that I was like, yo, I don't know if Steve can be able to handle him. Right. And like Steve was at his apex, over here, like, and doing this, he couldn't be able to take him on his own. And the fact that we have these untrained flag smashers, like handling Bucky and like, nah, bro, I'm not with that.
It made no sense. He took a steering wheel out of a moving vehicle. Okay. Yes. He ripped it out of a moving vehicle. These teenagers that did not train at all, but just took some serum should not take him
Be able to
down.
go head to head
Well,
with
part
the
of
Winter
me,
Soldier.
the Flag Smashers thing, it doesn't make any sense. But part of me
Whole
kind of understands the loss of the swag from him going to Winter Soldier to Bucky, because you have to think like he doesn't have that killer instinct anymore. When he was the brainwashed Winter Soldier, he's always trying to kill. But Bucky's not. He's trying to restrain himself a little bit. Like, even think of, again, Buffy reference. I'm a fan, but think of the difference between Angel and Angelus, or when Spike got his soul versus when he wanted to kill Buffy. They were way more formidable when they had that killer instinct.
Right.
And so I don't think it's out of the realms of reality, or it doesn't make sense that now that he lost that, and plus all the extra trauma that he's going through, that he doesn't have the same level of swagger that he had when he was
even in
Winter
Civil War.
Soldier.
Civil War, when he was like not trying, when they had the scene where Black Panther is introduced, right? He's not trying to kill those soldiers. He's just trying to fight and get out. And that's what like Cap was like, don't kill. And he's like, I'm not trying to kill them. And he's trying to just get out. So if they had even showed that swag of fighting in this series, like, yeah, you're trying to take down, you don't have to like kill, or even show that struggle. Like, yeah, I'm going on. Oh no, let me pull back a little bit, something to kind of.
You know who might be able to get his swagger back? A character that might be able to help him out? Shang-Chi. You can maybe get trying to learn how to balance that, not to kill someone, but having still that because Shang-Chi, he's trained a lot of Avengers, or kind of have them work on their inner chi. So that's something. Hey,
Lord Goddard and Bird Lady just brought up rule number 2: don't hurt anybody. So
from therapy session.
Yeah, he kind of threw that rule out though.
He did.
When he was in
Definitely
he was hurting a lot of people.
Yes, he was.
This is the whole issue with Bucky's arc and this whole thing, is that they set it up really great at the beginning, and I think there are some nice moments sprinkled throughout, but they don't really do anything to progress the character until those 5 seconds that we get where he kind of tries to reconcile with the older guy, and it just doesn't really. It's so unsatisfying and just like half done. It's like, oh yeah, we set this up at the beginning, so now we have to wrap it up in the last few minutes of this episode, and it doesn't really come across as sincere. And I think, that's the thing with Bucky. Like Bucky almost needs his own like show or something, because he just hasn't, and like that's fine, because like I'm really glad that Sam was able to get all this, and obviously I think he's the one with the more interesting story here, but like that's not to say Bucky doesn't have a lot of interesting things to explore as well. So it's like I'd like for the showrunners or whoever, or Marvel, to just give Bucky the time to like just explore his past and all of that, because that conversation that he has with Sam when they're throwing the shield is so good, but I just feel like the entire show they were just kind of like yelling at each other, having these conversations without having the same conversation without it really going there, and I never really saw Bucky, I guess, go through that growth process until like those minutes right there in that episode. But I guess it's sort of like the thing with this show is like there's interesting ideas, but then they just like they sort of forget about them until they have to conclude them, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll just do it in the most haphazard way possible.
I was disappointed with the Bucky and Yuri scene, only in the sense that I just wanted more. Like, and somebody made the point, and I can understand what they're saying, where they was just like, because you didn't really get to see the scene. It's just like, I killed your son, cut. He's walking out the door.
Yeah.
But like, because there was like, it ultimately wasn't about whether Yuri forgave him, whether he was mad, whether he cursed him out, and I get that. But at the same time, I feel like for Bucky, I wanted to see, and then think about the acting that Sebastian Stan that we saw when he was being freed from the mental programming of the Winter Soldier, and the shock, the hatred, the happiness that he felt, and the awesome acting for Sebastian Stan. So me being selfish, I just wanted to see the struggle that Bucky would have to have gone through to have this conversation with Yuri, especially considering we saw the struggle of him not wanting to have the conversation. So that's why I was mad that it was just kind of just brushed right through. But we don't have any more time. The episode's almost over. Like
what it is.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm saying that's what it is. Michael.
Gotcha. I was just gonna say they could have done something similar, and I think Elliot, I brought this up when you and I were talking on my channel or something, but like what they should have done is sort of had a moment like what Jason Bourne has in the Bourne Supremacy, where he goes to the girl whose parents that he killed, and he just tells them what happened, and then just sort of sits there in the moment and allows the two to just sort of like here's the truth. Don't think, I'm sorry for what happened and like all the stuff that you thought about what happened. Just, know that this is the real truth. And I think like a moment like that, a more quiet, really, really emotional moment like that would have been very powerful and it was truthfully needed.
Mm-hmm. I agree, and especially too because I guess the last time we see him, he's looking at the window. I assume that scene is supposed to allude to he's having. I don't know if he's forgiven Bucky or not, but he's kind of like he's at peace with it now. Because he's eating at the place where they used to go. So again, I guess we'll see what comes of that. What Bucky's growth of letting that off his shoulders, letting that Steve's names or list of names there go. So it'll be interesting to see again where we see Bucky again. Which brings me to Kolby to wrap up Bucky's arc, man. What do you expect for that character next, man?
Yeah, next I don't know because honestly, like before this episode aired, I had money that he was going to die. I thought Bucky's story was done.
That. Yeah.
So I don't know where. I don't know where he goes. He doesn't. He's not an Avenger to me. So I don't know how he fits on like a team.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. He's a man out of time. But don't like
there's the title. There's a show right there.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't really know where he can go. I don't know what his purpose is, and I don't think that it wasn't this show's goal to set up his purpose next. Like I don't know. There was something about him that like I felt like he needed to be done, and I really thought that John was going to kill him. And not getting that, I kind of feel like I have no idea what's next. I don't know what feels narratively right. What's next for him? Because we see his book is completely done. He's crossed all the names out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, all right, so what are you still doing here, bro? Like you need to go be like Steve and I don't know, go back and get your girls. I have no idea. Like I don't know what is driving him. Because he's not like a justice guy, like, oh, I need to go out there and be like, and the fact that still what we get at, the end of the scene is like the title of the show changes, but it doesn't change for him. And I don't know why.
Winter Soldier, yeah. Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting to see again, going back to Sharon Carter and her art.
Mephisto.
He's Mephisto.
Right.
There
There you go.
He's a scroll.
It will be interesting to see again what they do with Sharon Carter, reversing the comics and her being a part of Steve's death. Maybe she has something to do with Bucky's demise and future movies and Captain America 4.
So I like this comment.
Yeah, what comment was that?
Model Genius. Maybe it just disappeared. It jumped on me. Something about he could become the MCU's version. He could actually become the White Wolf.
Yeah. And we know we got a Wakanda series coming up in the next coming years. So, maybe that's a place. Because I know Ayo say, don't come to Wakanda anytime soon. But that could be something to look forward to in the future. But two more things I want to touch on. I definitely don't want to neglect this part. Because I think this was, as you guys have mentioned throughout this entire show, Isaiah Bradley's story has probably been one of the most consistent. Carl Lumley, I mean, the man has been a legend his whole life, and he shows you his acting capabilities in this show. And Amanda, we see Sam visiting Baltimore. He has a gift for him. And starting with you, that gift is seeing at the Captain America, museum. We can honor his story is no longer erased. It's here for everyone to see. So starting with you, Amanda, the gift that Sam gives him, as the history that he's been part of in America.
Yeah, I always love their scenes. I always love their conversations. And I do want to mention that obviously this was a beautiful thing that Sam did. But I'm really happy that the one thing I was afraid of is that Old Man Cap was going to come back in this episode. And I'm just really happy that he didn't, because I just think that it would have taken away from like Isaiah and Sam's connection. And I think that was the right way to go, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, it was a beautiful moment. Even for Eli Bradley to be there and be present. It was, very emotional. And I really just love Isaiah and Sam's, like he hugged him after all of this too. Yeah. And it was a nice moment.
I agree with you. Christine, your take on this moment of Sam gifting that to him. And I think there's still some more stories to be said with Isaiah Bradley, especially with his grandson. And if we theorize him being patriot and having maybe the conversation with his grandson about being a hero, could be something to look forward to. But your thoughts on his impact on this episode and just in general?
It was beautiful. It was definitely very moving. I am interested to know how much of his story is actually shared. Like, that's something that obviously they didn't have the time to go into, right? But when they're like, "Oh, your story is shared, your history is not erased." The lines I completely loved. I loved the moments. I loved every scene with Isiah. It like charged me to read the whole series. Like I read it in like 2 nights. Just read it. So I'm happy that this was something that was even brought into the show. He was a character that I didn't even know existed. So I'm happy that they're really cementing him into the MCU. But again, I do want to know, how much does the public know of his story in regards to the world, and how much, how much was actually shared?
It's a great point. And I think that's, again, another to set up a future Young Avengers or a Captain America 4 and acknowledging what happened to, to Isiah. But Michael, your take on this GIF for Isiah and his moment there.
I feel like I'm the angry Grinch on this show.
Let's hear it, man. Let's hear it.
I watched his live too last night.
Let's hear it. I want to hear. I missed it last night. So I want to hear the take, man. Michael, the stage is yours.
No,
man.
I like that, Isiah is finally getting recognized and everything like that. But I wish I wish they went further. Like Wonder Woman, life is good, but it could be better. So the thing that I didn't like about the scene in general is Isiah mentioned that he was part of an entire platoon, but only Isiah seemed to be getting acknowledged. I wish there was like some type of like 9/11 wall where everybody, if they're going the route of the comic, all the 300 black names that got experimented on that didn't survive, they were also on the wall as well. And then also, I think my best friend Jessica, hey, thank you for being in the stream. She made a comment saying, which I agree with, Isiah should have got a ribbon cutting. It should have been a big deal that his story exists, as opposed to like me. Honestly, I feel like they had him McDaniel them, where it's like, oh, you get nominated, you get nominated for an Oscar, but you got to come through the back. You can't sit with the white folks, and his statue was they had to go all the way to the back. It was in the dark part of the Captain America Memorial, and it was only just Isiah, but it wasn't the entire platoon. So I like that they had the moment where he got acknowledged, but it should have been same way I kind of did with Sam being Captain America. You had a public unveiling for John Walker. It should have been public for both Isiah and Sam, and Rhodey should have been there. Where's Rhodey?
I was going to actually bring
honestly.
Because I'm like, does he even know about Isiah? He's in the military. You would think they would want to bring that back,
right? Yeah.
Because even in the comic, it was like very underground. Only the black superheroes knew about the Isaiah Bradley. You had pictures like when Isaiah Bradley showed up at Black Panther and Storm's wedding. You had Wolverine like, I've been alive for 100 years. I never heard of him. Yeah, of course you never heard of him. Like, so I wanted there to be made a bigger deal of what happened, like in a public apology.
That, you know what? That's a great point, Michael. I would love just kind of put on a writer's hat here. That would be a great way to open up a Captain America 4, which we'll talk about that announcement, is Sam introduction, as well as maybe another introduction to Isaiah Bradley too, within that, maybe that same thing. And then something happens where there's an explosion or something, and that's kind of the
Kevin Feige, point. Are you listening, bro?
There you go.
But don't kill Isaiah.
Don't kill Isaiah. Yeah, don't kill him.
Last explosion during something, we lost a father, so no.
Honestly, now I can't imagine any other opening to Captain America 4. Like, we're 6 months to a year into the future, and while the wing is already there, this is the official inaugural day, kind of commemorating him and the rest of the troops. Like, there's no better way to start that up. And then there's an incident that then propels the action to go forward.
Hey, you heard it here first, guys. But Griff, man, your take on Isaiah Bradley, this gift, and even more so with Michael, did you kind of feel that same way regarding the acknowledgement of the other soldiers their lives were lost?
Yeah, no, that's a really great point. That I honestly, when I was initially watching, I hadn't considered. So I mean, I think that's a very, very good. That would have made that scene even better. But as it is, I mean, I thought it was very emotional. Again, like everything in this series that has dealt with Isaiah Bradley was handled incredibly well, and like this obviously kind of, continuing on that trajectory. So I mean, it was super emotional. I was glad that he was sort of memorialized in that the way that he was. The only thing that I will say about the public sort of recognition thing is that didn't he specifically not want that, right? Like that was something that he didn't want people to come out there
Isaiah?
and like having him paraded around.
That
like
I
think the way that like they did it was respectful to the legacy of him while also honoring his wishes of being just sort of like, I don't want the spotlight or anything. So I mean that would just be my only counter there. But yeah, I agree. The scene was great. Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
All right.
Not what he
Kevin
wanted.
Feige, I retract my statement. Captain America 4.
But include the other troops. I think that was
Include the other troops.
Yes,
100%.
yes,
Yeah,
include the other troops.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes,
And like
yeah.
even if they wanted to have something where it was just like the statue of Isaiah Bradley on there, just because that is our link to the character, and then have the names of everyone else on the walls. Like I guess that sort of works, but yeah, absolutely. That is a great point.
I'm gonna have to revisit that scene too, because I know someone had brought up in one of the scenes when Rhodey and Sam were talking in episode 1 that they mentioned something about Captain America being gone. I'm gonna have to like maybe pause it. In fact, maybe there was, because I think it was a digital screen, so maybe they have like the names of the other soldiers that we just didn't see in that scene, or you know, but and maybe that could be the case. But Kolby, man, your thoughts on Isaiah in regards to this gift that he was given, and just the inclusion of this character in the show.
Yeah, I mean, after how powerful that scene was between those two in episode 5, I know that ultimately what I wanted to see was for Isaiah to accept Sam, understanding that he is going to chart a different path for himself, and it doesn't necessarily have to be you, and how America has shitted on you over these past decades, that things, while change is slow, things are changing. And you know, the ultimate sign of respect would be like I want personally, for me as a writer, I wanted to see him salute him, right? Because I know that there's a power and reverence in giving that respect to somebody, right?
Right.
To say like, you know what, or like for him, for the first time that he's ever called Captain America, it's by him making that choice to be able to say it.
That would have been pretty.
In that amazing list.
Yeah.
All right, I see. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it would have been.
I think you just made Mike like it.
You know, like, but it was great, and like I know nothing about the Young Avengers, so I have real quick. He does live in DC, Isaiah Bradley, right?
Well, they said
Isaiah, I think they were in
but
Baltimore.
that's not too far.
He's in Baltimore. Okay, all
And
right,
in the show, he lives in Baltimore. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't remember in the comic.
like he made it seem like I mean, I guess Baltimore, DC, like half hour, 45-minute drive away.
I think in the comic he lived in New York, but in
it's just hard for me because like I know for like I look at the house, like I live like a mile away from where they shot it, so I'm like, that's so Atlanta, but whatever. In my mind it still rings in Atlanta. I'm like, damn, they got from Atlanta to DC real quick to that museum.
Hey man, Falcon can fly. You got wings, man.
He riding on his back.
I do wish, what you mentioned the Young Avengers, since they love to tease things in the future, I do wish there was a Patriot tease. Like during that whole convo, he was like, so you're going to work as Captain America. It's kind of dangerous. Well, my 24-year-old grandson, he's a super soldier. So you might want to, you know what? In my mind, I totally like, oh yeah, he's got super soldier like blood in him. Right?
Passed down to different
Passed
generations.
down,
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Again, we'll talk about Captain America 4. We're writing pretty much the first half of this film so far, but we'll see where it goes from there. But we'll put this into 2 combos before we wrap up. As far as just your thoughts, Amanda, with your boy getting the costume and combining that with the the mid-credit scene with Sharon Carter talking on the phone. So just your thoughts first on Mr. Wyatt Russell receiving his costume and being named, U.S. agent, and then also your thoughts on the mid-credit post scene with Sharon Carter.
You know what? As long as this guy's not Captain America, I don't care what he does, to be perfectly honest. Like we have U.S. agent, that's great. If like the Thunderbolts happen and all of that, and I'm really happy that we got to see Julia Louis-Dreyfus again in this episode because I absolutely love her. So there's like a tie-in there. We'll see what happens. I mean, I still think that John Walker was completely out of character in this scene again. So it just the inconsistency was there. And like even the finger guns, like what? Like, what do you?
He
why?
needs to stop doing them.
Like, it looks so weird. It's like, oh, now you're playful for like what reason? I don't understand. But it was a whole weird scene. But I love seeing Val, and then with the post-credit scene, I just. Like, why? First of all, Peggy Carter is probably like rolling in her grave knowing that her niece is like the power broker. Like, why would you do that with the Carter name? Like, I just don't understand that. So I just don't care about Sharon. I'm sorry.
Hey, Sharon is Peggy's blood niece, right?
Yes. So it's just like, it's so
I still haven't gotten over the kiss. I'm sorry.
That shit.
Keep it in the family.
That has been extracted from my mind. I hate that. Oh God, I hated it so much.
You should have kissed Bucky.
Hot take.
Yes. And then Sam would have been jealous, and then all would have been right in the world. But yeah, I didn't care for her. Like the U.S. agent, I understand what's going on there, but like I really enjoyed. I know you put a picture of Sam and Bucky there with that little moment, and then Buck coming to Louisiana and like being very playful with his nephews, and I really love that, and like that he has a family. He has a family. This is his family, and I love that they welcomed him in like that, and the whole arm, and they were hanging like on his arm, like it was just really sweet. I thought they ended the episode quite well with Sam and Bucky, to be perfectly honest. But like U.S. Agent and then Agent Carter just kind of like
it's kind of like they smushed that in there. Kind of.
Look at that picture that's on the screen.
That right?
Giving each other the fuck me eyes.
No, that's just Mackie and Seb. Like that's not even Sam and Bucky. That's just Mackie and Seb.
Yeah.
That's it.
No doubt. I mean, Christina, kind of a fully loaded question, but just kind of again your thoughts on the U.S. agent moment with Val and him taking on that mantra, and again the finger pointing. Also, this moment as we see on the screen now, them becoming more than just having a mutual friend, but actually being friends and being family, like Amanda said. And then your thoughts on who was on the other line with the power broker.
Oh, okay. So with Captain or US Lame, because that's what he is now. That was just like, I mean, he's a bizarre character. Like the way that they wrote him, his whole arc, this whole series has been like crazy with him. I hated. Why are we at the courthouse doing this? Why are we changing here of all places? Who is Val to give you this suit for you to be like, I'm back, right? I think that instead of breaking his arm, they should have broke his fingers so he could stop doing this. Okay. I don't want to see him do this anymore. Then also with Sharon, I think it would be great if, like one of you guys said earlier, that she's been working with Nick Fury the whole time, because Nick Fury, like Winter Soldier Nick Fury, he would have shot Carly. Like he would have been like, I gotta do what I need to do to kind of get this mission done type of situation, right? So that would have been on, somewhat on brand for working with Nick Fury, because he keeps things to the chest. He does things. He hired Frenchie Leg Man in Winter Soldier at the very beginning. So if she is indeed working with Nick Fury, then this is somewhat forgivable because it's so completely out of character. But I didn't care for her being the power broker, and I didn't care for this scene. If she is talking to Nick or some, the other chick, whatever happened to the other chick?
Val.
Yeah, Val.
No, the one that works with Nick, that's normally rolling with Nick.
Maria.
Well, she hasn't worked with Nick in a while, though, right?
Yeah.
No,
right, because it wasn't really him and her.
They got divided though, didn't they? Or am I wrong?
I think the last time we saw them on screen was Infinity War when they both got dusted. Yeah.
No, last time we saw them on screen was at
last time we saw them was
RDJ's funeral.
Spider-Man, and they weren't.
Technically, it wasn't them.
It wasn't them.
It wasn't them though.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh no wonder. Far From Home still pisses me off.
Sorry. But yes, in this case, if she's talking to Maria or Nick, then okay, that can be somewhat forgivable. But I mean, her storyline ended kind of meh, and I didn't really care for it. Now the cookout thing, I enjoyed it, but I didn't feel like it fit. I feel like it was this. I didn't feel like this,
be nice,
right? Yeah, like it just felt like it would be like that TikTok meme that everybody's doing now, where they like, and then tell the caption of how their lives finished off. The kids got A's in school, and they're like in the middle of about to eat whatever they're about to eat. That's what I felt like. I felt like it was. I know it was like a little corny. It was a little cheesy. I enjoyed it as a viewing piece because I like seeing them together. I'm hoping for a Sarah Bucky type of situation or connection, type of thing. When he's hanging the kids on his arm, I was like, Sarah, he's a good kids guy. He could be a good
He did break a rule though. You don't bring store-bought cake to a cookout. Like that's like
he's new. You got to forgive him. He's new.
Right,
he's new. Yeah, right. There's also that, right? It was gonna be that or a casserole dish. Let's be clear. And he chose one. It's fine. But it was cheesy, but I did enjoy it. It's one of the things that I can say, okay, this doesn't fit this episode or this series, but I enjoyed watching them all together.
No doubt. Michael, same thing, fully loaded question, man. But your thoughts on seeing the John Walker as a U.S. agent, his mission now to do whatever Val wants him to do, and doing the things that maybe the job that Captain America can't do. With I don't even know who Captain America reports to now, if he works for the government or what. But that moment, we get the moment with what we have on screen here, them becoming family, and then also your thoughts on who Sharon was possibly talking to on the other line.
Really quick.
Yeah.
Jenna James, she posted a comment that made me laugh. Bucky been to Wakandan cookout, so this cookout ain't nothing. And I'm like, well, what that made me go, okay, so he's been to Wakandan cookout. He should know better than to bring some store-bought cake.
That's funny.
To a black cookout.
Unless he stopped at Publix, but I don't think there's Publix down in New Orleans. So I don't know.
I mean, maybe I don't know, because there's a Publix down south. But as far as the John Walker scene and the pew 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 guns and all that other stuff, I didn't have granted, it was goofy, it was doofy, but I didn't have a problem with that, mostly because it does seem very John Walker-esque in the sense that, and I mentioned this on my own channel, that he has a superiority complex, but an inferiority complex about his superiority complex. So Val, granted, we don't know who Val is, what power she has, but obviously she has some level of power to the point that when they first met, she knew everything. Like, I knew you took the serum. I knew you lost the shield, caught contact. So the fact that his inferiority is being reaffirmed in terms of he's getting a new role, he's becoming U.S. agent, because every time we see him, it's like, I'm Captain America, I'm Captain America, I'm Captain America. So somebody's giving him a new role after his original Captain America role was stripped. So he's happy. So he's like, yay, because I thought it was all done. Because the government, even though the government was like, you can't be Captain America anymore, he's like, I am. And even got to this episode, he's still dressed up, he still made his own shield. So I didn't have a problem with him being good, because like I'm back, like I'm being reaffirmed again, like so. I thought it made sense for the character. In terms of Sharon, I'm gonna pull out Ariana Grande. Thank you. Next. Who cares? Moving on.
Yes.
But for the cookout scene, I like the cookout scene. I like the music that was playing. I'm like, oh, Bucky literally got invited to the cookout, and so
that's true.
I enjoyed seeing all the black and brown faces. Like I love seeing black people get together. That's why I have a huge problem in comics that they don't have black superhero books, because I'm like, hey, black people like hanging out with each other. That's why so why aren't there more black superhero books? So anytime I see black people hanging out together, I'm here for it. So and yeah, the music, and then like I said in the beginning, when they were looking off into the sunset and the music started flaring,
let me pull up the picture for you.
Yeah, and Bucky turned to her. They were looking in each other's eyes. I was like, it's the perfect opportunity. Come on. But they didn't give it to me. But yeah,
they hugged. They
had their arm around each other.
It's not enough for him.
I need a full life.
The movie. Wait for it.
The movie's coming, man. It's coming. But Griff, man, same thoughts on this ending, these last few scenes involving U.S. agent getting his new assignment, Bucky and Sam becoming family, and then Sharon Carter now having all the new toys to her disposal. And any theories on who she was talking to on the line, man?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care about Sharon and everything that sort of just happened with her. It's like, okay, cool, whatever, nice. I guess we're setting up the next thing or whatever.
Yeah,
but when it comes to John Walker, I didn't really have an issue with that scene, just because it's like, okay, so now we have to sort of accept the character, reroute that they've already gone with, and so it's just like, as an individual scene, it's fine. The outfit is great, by the way. It's such a
very comic book,
such a good U.S. agent costume. And I'm really curious to just like, by and large throughout the season, I was really fascinated with John Walker, and I liked most of what they did with him. So I am looking forward to either that U.S. agent series or like seeing him pop up in, I don't know, another Captain America thing or whatever. So that I'm interested in. And yeah, I guess with Val's involvement, that might hint at the Thunderbolts or stuff like that. I could see him being in there or whatnot. obviously she'll have a role down the road, but yeah, I mean that scene was fine. I mean, John, I think even like before he was introduced at that football game as Captain America, he was a little goofy too.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just sort of like
True.
seeing him outside of the costume versus seeing him, in the costume. He does have a little.
He's a bro.
Yeah, exactly. Like sort of what it also sort of what Michael was saying about him having an inferiority complex about his superiority complex, I think is a very apt statement. So
another Buffy reference.
Yeah. So yeah, John Walker, whatever, that's fine. The last scene with Sam and Bucky, that works. That's fine. The cookout scene is enjoyable. The music's great. Like, yeah, that's fine. I didn't really have any gripes with that.
Gotcha. Kolby, man, wrapping us up with these last things and starting from the back to the front. Thoughts on Sharon Carter? Do you care at all regarding that character? Is there any thought where we can see this character next, and then going from that to this moment here of these brothers, and then obviously with Mr. John Carter and his new U.S. agent title?
Couldn't care at all about Sharon Carter. Have no use for her. I don't care who she was talking to, because it's probably not going to matter, right? Who cares? I'm glad for the boys. Like I said, it feels a little bit weird because I feel like that Bucky's story is done, but it's still moving forward. I'm happy for Sam and like what comes next for him, as Captain America. I really hope that we get like a non-global threat. I'm big on like in certain tiers in regards to my superheroes. Where I want them to be able to handle their threats relative to like where they
power
are.
set level and all that.
Absolutely. And like with Sam not taking the super soldier serum, I need to make sure that he's taking on a threat that is something that he's capable to be able to do, so he's not reliant on other people, but be able to do this himself. And in regards to, John Walker, I still have no idea. Like, is she a bad guy? Like I know the name and like, it's connected to, Madam Hydra, but is Hydra defunct? Is it now? Is she, putting me back together? Is he completely unaware of it? Like, he's just like, he has no idea who this lady is because, she gave him a blank card. He's like, I'm just going to keep taking stuff from you and have no idea who you are, but all right. So I don't know, man. And yeah, so it's, I don't know. I don't know. And now knowing that there's a movie, I don't know.
Which is, it brings me, because a couple of our guests have to head out, which brings me to the last point before we kind of wrap this whole thing up with the remaining guests. But since we have our guest here, I want to start with you, Christine. We did get, and actually before I even go to this point, I just want to play a quick little clip because I thought this was kind of funny.
I haven't seen the Falcon. Oh no, there isn't one. Sorry.
Joke's on you, Tom.
So with that being said, there is now
disrespectful.
There is a Falcon show, right? So Christine, your thoughts on this announcement that we got yesterday that Falcon, or I should say Captain America 4 is in the works?
I'm excited. I don't know. Did they announce? Oh, they did announce who's doing it and everything.
The writer of this show will be back, and another one of the staff members will be writing this. They haven't announced a director, but they will. Malcolm Spellsman will be one of the writers. For
directing, I want the Russo brothers back because the Russo brothers really juiced the franchise as a whole, Marvel as a whole. Like, we had the first Captain America was like arguably okay or bad. Like, Winter Soldier is when Captain America was formidable. Like, he was like, okay, this is somebody I respect. I respect you as a superhero, because everybody was like, oh, I've got this power, and he's like, I'm strong. That was his power. But he became a leader, a better leader, I feel. And I really would like the Russo brothers to be involved. I mean, with how they took the whole franchise of everything as a whole, I'm a huge fan of, and I definitely want that magic sprinkled into this in whichever way they can be involved.
They can't do a good movie outside the MCU, so
my fingers crossed.
Stick to the rivers and lakes that you're used to.
Facts. I am looking forward to that Netflix, Chris Evans, Ryan Gosling, I think Anna de Armas, that spy movie they're doing. I'm looking forward to that. I've never seen
anything they've done outside the MCU.
I liked Extraction. Extraction was good. I didn't see
they did do Extraction. I liked Extraction.
Extraction was good.
Oh, man.
I was actually going to say, I wouldn't hate it if the director who did Extraction did a Captain America movie, but they had like
Hargrove.
Sam Hargrave, but they had obviously, better writers in the room and everything like that.
Right.
Because I think like Sam Hargrave kind of comes from
Good
that
point,
same
actually.
like school of thought as the guys who do the John Wick stuff.
Yeah,
So it's like
effects and stunts and stuff like that.
So
Yeah.
anyone in that realm, I think, to direct is a great choice. And then just bring in. I really don't like the fact that they're bringing back the same writers. I think
and some of the writers. Yeah.
I think they probably need someone better. But I mean, I guess they're familiar with the material, so that's fine. But
and continue. So, which I mean, to that point, Griff, because I know you're gonna head out soon. Yeah. Any, I guess, what kind of plot we can look forward to? Are we gonna get a continuation of Baron Zemo in this film? And when do we get this film? I guess that's the big thing because they've slated themselves for the next 2 years. Where does this fit in the MCU?
This is I don't see this coming out anytime soon. This is going to be a little bit down the road. But but then again, I mean, I don't know. They could next Comic-Con or whatever, they could pop in and then
throw
just
it in
like,
there somewhere.
say, hey, okay, this is coming out now. So I think that's the thing with their schedule is like for the most part it is locked in, but it can fluctuate. And obviously seeing how people have responded to Sam Wilson, Captain America, and knowing that Captain America is like one of their flagship movie like series outside of the Avengers and the Iron Man films, I think like they'll probably want to get that going. I truthfully would just love to see Sam have a clean break from everything and just start his own story as Captain America, bring in new villains, new antagonists. I mean, obviously it's interconnected, so you'll probably get some crossovers and some stuff that happened in the show brought up in the movie. But I really just do want to see like what they did with Steve. Let's have Sam like do his own thing and like fight his own villains and everything like that. I think that's that's what I want.
Does he have his own villains in the comic?
I was gonna say, I'm trying to think of like a.
I don't know.
He fights the typical Captain, like he fights Batroc, the Leaper, the Serpent Society. So that's what I would want for Captain America. They never introduced the Serpent Society. So give him the Serpent Society for his own movie. That could be his villains.
Yeah, because it's really from this show he doesn't have anyone to propel him to continue a certain storyline as far as like Agatha Harkness for Wanda being someone to tie in later on. So it would have to be a fresh new character for him to go on. But Christine and Griff, I know you guys got to head out, so I'm gonna have Christine outro. Again, it was such a pleasure. I can't wait to continue the conversation on your channel tomorrow, which obviously I want you to plug here because it's going to be a great conversation. But I'm so thankful for you to be on the channel for the first time. I love the everything you brought to the table today and such a big fan of your content. So, Christine, if you want to let the people know where they can find you and what's next on your amazing platforms.
I'm not used to like the spotlight and the big screen, so I'm gonna back up a little bit. It's like right there. So I'm gonna talk like this. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you so much for including me to be a part of this, for inviting me. This was definitely a lot of fun. It's very different from how we do it on our podcast, Party Chat Podcast. You could check out a link in the description box. I see links to AyChristene in description. And then I'm a fan of how you do what you do. I do things a little differently, and I'm going to look into StreamYard and see how to incorporate some of this stuff. So I've been enjoying the conversation, but also saying, okay, all right. Oh, okay. This is okay. Taking notes, mental notes of what you're doing. So I'm a fan of what you've been doing on here, and I thank you for including me. Tomorrow on the Party Chat Podcast, we will be talking about the episode, and I will we're doing the Party Chat Oscars because the Oscars are very political and the nominees are particular and the winners are particular. So I kind of wanted to change things up where everybody, like Tait or Chris, he also suggested nominees. You suggested nominees. Also, I do the podcast with Jazzy Guns, Dwayne King, and Charlie. They all suggested nominees, and I'm excited to see who won. I haven't looked yet, so we'll see who wins certain categories. And was that everything I was supposed to say? I'm sorry, I'm so nervous. Thank you for having me. Links down below. Okay.
Christine, you are awesome. I can't wait to have the discussion tomorrow. I can't wait to have more discussions in the future, more collabs, because I'm just such a big fan of your content. So thank you so much for your time. And again, I'm excited for tomorrow. I'm gonna try to find a suit that I can wear, something to dress up. I can't wear the whole stream. It's gonna get hot. But no, I look forward to the conversation. I'm so happy you were able to join the conversation today.
And it was nice to meet everybody and to chat with you again, Elliot and Chris.
Yeah,
it was nice to meet you. I like having a conversation with you.
Yeah, it was fun. We had a little back and forth. There was some back and forths. And on mine, I'm a little bit more aggressive. I was a lot more quiet now in this one, but I'm a little bit more aggressive on like the mic. So it was nice to practice waiting until someone said something. Although there was a moment I didn't, and then I was trying to be good most of this episode. So thanks.
Well, Christine, you are awesome, and again, I look forward to chatting with you tomorrow.
All right, thanks for having me.
No doubt.
Nice to meet you.
My homie Griff has to head out, guys. But Griff, man, as you already know, man, I'm a big fan of your content, man. I love the collaborations we've been doing and the friendship we've kind of developed in the last year, man. I'm so glad you're able to be a part of this finale, man. So, hey, man, if you want to let the people know what's next on Film Speak, I'm pretty sure it's an excellent video essay coming pretty soon.
Yeah, I think the first week of May, I'm gonna finally put out that Quantum of Solace video that I've been working on for a little while. In case you don't know, if this is your first time like seeing me on a video over here or anything, I'm a massive James Bond. I mean, look at my posters. So yeah, I'm gonna be doing a deep dive into why I think that film is actually incredibly underrated and really good. So that'll be on the first week of May, and then yeah, I mean, dude, Elliot, thank you for having me on here again. I was so bummed yesterday. I got bogged down with work and I wasn't able to do our usual review on my channel, but I'm so happy that we were able to come on here, talk about it. The conversation over here, man, holy shit, it was like so good, so insightful. I just loved hearing everything that everyone had to say, and you all have been amazing. I got to have you on my channel. I think this is the great thing about Elliot. He brings all of these incredible personalities and voices together, and then
the Nick Fury of YouTube.
Yeah, dude. he's the guy, man. So yeah, listen, thanks again. If you guys want to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter at Griff Schiller, and then also over at the Film Speak channel.
No doubt, guys. Do yourself a favor and check out his channel. You will not be disappointed. Griff, man, I'm sure we'll be talking soon and doing some more collabs, man. But you have a great weekend, man, and love that you were on today, man.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Take care, everyone. Great talking with you all.
Take care, man.
Take care.
All right, so I don't want to keep the rest of my guests too much. It's just one more little thing I want to wrap up, which is the big question. Amanda, I want to start it off with you. Overall thoughts of this series and just general thoughts on I guess the conversation is Captain America 4 in the works? Is there a season 2 on the table at all, or is this story wrapped up entirely in regards to TV shows with Captain America?
I think it's along the lines of like the same thing as WandaVision, though. I think the series did what it needed to do for these characters to move on in the MCU on the big screen. I have to admit, I was kind of worried that Mackie wasn't going to get his movie and they would keep him to television, and that this would have been a season 2, and I would have been pissed. But I was so mad, but I'm really happy they announced it. The series itself was very rocky. There were missteps. The writing in certain episodes for certain characters, it was messy, do not get me wrong. But again, for me, the good certainly outweighs the bad in this case, because really, I'm watching it for Anthony Mackie. I'm watching it for Sebastian Stan. Those two have carried it since the beginning. And I really enjoyed their banter. They make the show. If it weren't for their banter on the press tours, there's no way in hell we would have gotten this show. So it is a blessing in that case. I really enjoyed the series. I did. And I'm looking forward to Captain America 4. I'm looking forward to an Anthony Mackie trilogy because it's going to happen. I'm putting it out there. I'm just really excited. And this series it has such a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just really enjoyed it.
One more little wrinkle in that question, and not that one has to be better than the other, but which one did you prefer, WandaVision or Falcon and Winter Soldier?
You know what? I'm gonna be straight. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna be straight. I love the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I know I'm gonna get heat for it. I got heat for saying that WandaVision was like underwhelming for me, but again, that's just me. I prefer my heroes grounded. And like that's all. He flies. I understand that I didn't mean grounded in that way, but I really love the show. WandaVision is not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying I hate. I'm just because people, I'm just saying I love these characters more. I've connected with Sam and Bucky more than that. Cap means the absolute world to me. Yeah. So yeah, I would go with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It was more enjoyable than WandaVision for me.
Awesome. Hey, Michael, same question, man. Just your overall take on the finale, the series, and do you want to see if there is a season 2? Maybe just focusing on Bucky and Sam being, and obviously Sam being in or Bucky being in the film, but maybe Bucky having his own solo. And then the question I asked Amanda: preference of WandaVision and Falcon. I guess I'm throwing all the questions at you. Low-key, does it have the potential to be better than both of those shows?
Oof. So many
questions.
So many questions. The pressure's on. But as far as overall thoughts for the show, like I said in the beginning, I know for this particular episode, I was like raging out. But overall, I loved this episode. I love this series. I love the conversation that it started. I love the fact that it really pushed Sam Wilson into the forefront, because before he was just the black sidekick. He was just there, but now he's becoming his own man, and we're getting more from him. So I enjoyed that. I love the things that they touched on in this episode, the racism and thing, because I was surprised. I was like, this is Disney. Like, hell, like Disney, some of the main purveyors of racism with like Songs of the South and things like that. So I'm like, there's no way they're going to touch on it. Now, granted, they didn't go as far as I wanted them to, but as far as they went, I was surprised. So I was here for all of that, and I loved all the moments that we had, and I was here for all the every single day, every single week. I'm making did you catch it? This is a Sam Bucky moment. They could have they could have kissed. So I enjoyed all of that. As far as whether we're going to get a season 2, I would say no, only because they announced the movie. So I'm like, if they didn't announce the movie, I would have been like, yeah, they're going to get a season 2. But I'm like, what? I don't know. I don't think they would do both. I would love if they did both. Yeah. But I don't think they will. And what was the other question?
WandaVision versus the Falcon. Just preference. Not which one is better, subjectively speaking. Which one did you prefer?
See, that one's hard for me because I like my black side wants to say Falcon and Winter Soldier, but me, I always say in every video, and I even have a shirt that says this: the things I love in my fantasy are blood, sex, gore, and magic. Magic with a K. And WandaVision, like I'm as a fantasy fan, as a comic book fan, I'm more drawn to like magical characters. Like that's why I love Doctor Strange. And so WandaVision being more magic centric, and even the magic battle at the end. Granted, I had my problems with the finale, but I loved all of the magic and spell casting and things like that. So I don't know. It's like it's hard for me to pick. And plus the week to week mystery. It's Mephisto. Or
the conversation was definitely it was different. It was still an element of like the power broker, but like you just said, Mephisto, Nightmare. Yeah, it was a lot of more. The theories were more intense. Yeah,
so I would say for the sake of the conversation and the speculation and the YouTube community and everything like that, I would say WandaVision.
Kolby, man, same for you, my friend. I'm actually trying to type it out. But again, overall thoughts of the season, the finale, and then also just your take on a season 2 potentially. Someone mentioned in the comments, maybe Torres becomes the Falcon, something of that nature. And then, of course, preference WandaVision versus this show.
Yeah, man. I think overall, on the Kolby Told Me scale, this is a 6 out of 10. This is a fine / okay outing for this MCU show. The bar is set high, and I didn't necessarily set it. Marvel did, right? It's hard for me to differentiate this way to tell a story versus the 20-something odd movies that we've had going along. My bar for this more grounded superhero story is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Funny enough, there's a Captain America and a Winter Soldier inside of here. And does this live up to that? In no way does it. It pales in comparison in my regards. And it's not just in regards to the story, because I think there's better character work here than in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, right? But in regards to the action set pieces, the stunt choreography, the stunt fighting, just the effects, and everything is done exceedingly better there. In regards to Marvel TV, my bar for Marvel TV is Daredevil Season 1. This pales in comparison to Daredevil Season 1. This is not a failure. This definitely is a mishandlement in regards to how to properly craft a story and like doing it a way that's equally satisfying, and you're trying to address a lot of different things at one time. Like I said earlier, this would be a better movie than I would be in regards to a story, and I think that's why they went the story route. I mean, they're going the movie route as opposed to going for a whole second season. I think Disney's good. They have so much stuff set up for Disney Plus, right? Like we have like a month now between this and Loki, as opposed to now kind of like having it staggered where you can kind of have a week in between it. Nah, they know what's up, and they know exactly what's coming, and it's gonna be a while. Anthony Mackie, stick to the. I mean, I'm not saying stick to the gym like you haven't been, but my brother's 50 years old. You know, they can't be waiting around. Mahershala Ali is like 55 years old, and I want a Blade movie before I get a Captain America movie. With you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, I have no idea when we're gonna have time for any of this stuff, but I'm looking forward to it. Definitely a movie versus you know, a sequel series. And in regards to, you know, what was your next question? It was like the
preference of WandaVision versus this.
Oh yeah, give me this over WandaVision. I had a lot of problems with WandaVision. You know, I was one of the lone truthers out there that's just like, it's WandaVision was like, it was okay. It was it's a lower 6 in that regard. I don't really do half points and nothing like that. So like they're both 6s, but like Wanda's definitely a lower 6 because I had a really big problem with her not being held accountable for how she victimized an entire community. And I do not believe that we need to give an excuse for a person who has trauma to take that trauma out on others and then suffer and never being accountable for that. And we did not get that. And ultimately that story felt a bit inconsequential as well. I'm not the biggest fan of how Marvel has handled Phase 4, to be honest with you. I did not like Far From Home in regards to how they treated the blip. I find so much more compelling drama with literally dealing with a world devastated by 50% loss of life and what they had to do to move forward and what life looks like and having to come back. Like right now, my project for the next week or two is rewriting the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series of a much more compelling drama, where we know that the Falcon was gone for 5 years. And instead of Sarah being his sister, Sarah should have been his hidden family, kind of like how Clint had, where he has to come back to a wife and kids that no longer know who he is. And granted, we've had shows like that in the past, you know, couple of years that have dealt with, was it The Vanishing or something like that on NBC or The Returned or whatever. That's great drama. So to imagine to deal with that, also to be able to deal with, do I accept the mantle? And then I have this other global threat. I find that much more compelling. The best parts of this series is the character work. If you give me episode 1, the Isaiah Bradley stuff in episode 2, episode 4 and 5, and a little bit of 6, that's a way better show. Take out all of the Flag Smasher stuff. Take out all of the Madripoor stuff and Agent Carter. And yes, you want to drop in Zemo, we'll find something for him to do. But you make this about John Walker and his assholeness and him being praised by America, while the good guy, the black guy, being like dicked around by America. Give me that movie.
Hey,
it's funny you say. I've been saying ever since episode 4. No, 5. Wait, which episode was it that she came out of the hex and confronted the sword?
That was like episode 3. I'm like,
episode 3. So the moment that happened, I was like, Wanda got to go to jail. I said it every episode. Me and my co-host said it every episode on my YouTube channel.
The moment that she recognized,
hashtag Wanda got to go to jail.
Yeah, the moment that she recognized was in control. I don't care to what extent, but she was in control. Yeah, son.
Yeah, that whole WandaVision
I still like WandaVision.
Yeah, same. And I mean,
it looks cool. You know, it looks cool. But then also, my bar for wizardry in any medium is Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. If you don't give me Dumbledore versus Voldemort and you want to do, you know, spells and shit like that on screen, it's got to be that. And her and that wasn't it, bro.
We might see that in Doctor Strange too.
We better.
Oh yeah, I think we will.
But I will say, like, real quick, I completely agree with Kolby in terms of, like, especially in the sense that, like, because we know that Marvel's really diving into these Disney Plus shows. It seems like what they're doing, they're focusing more on those than they are on the movies. And one thing that we always complained about, really since the beginning of Marvel, is they have to do better with their villains. Right. But we didn't really have a problem because, you know, movies, you only got but so much time, and we liked that we connected to the superhero characters. But for these shows, these episodic shows, they have to do, because now, even though I liked Catherine Hahn, Agatha, by the end of it, for her to just be like, oh, I just want to take your power and rule the, it's like that. I was disappointed about the finale. So Marvel really has to strengthen and do better with their villains if they want to continue the reign that they've had for the last 10 plus years, because as more and more of these movies come out and as you get more and more into the Marvel formula, like, they won't be able to continue as they've continued for the last 3 phases if they keep going this route with the weak villains and always cutting tension with the jokes randomly. It's not to say you can't have jokes, but like sometimes it doesn't work. Like even though I love Thor Ragnarok, one of my biggest problems with Thor Ragnarok was Thor's planet is destroyed, and let's throw a joke in there. It's like, his best friends, the Warriors 3, were murdered. He doesn't even talk about like, oh, let's laugh it up, ha ha ha. So yeah, they need to cut. Take Joss Whedon is because it's very Joss Whedonisms. Joss Whedon is a trash person, so let's stop doing the Joss Whedon Avengers stuff and let's actually focus on some real stories.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you guys said well said. I think, and this is a much larger conversation, and we're going to wrap it up here soon. But I think the thing with these Disney shows, and who knows what the future holds, but I think it is kind of hard to have like your top tier villains on a show for those that don't watch the show. Again, saving maybe a Doctor Doom type of appearance, or a Kingpin maybe if he gets back in the mix. It is kind of hard to bring that level of threatening to
the show, though.
Very true. I was just that was just an example. But I'm saying maybe Doctor Doom for example. I wouldn't expect them to have, and we had the conversation about Mephisto and the Nightmare. It's hard to have like that type of level villain on a show that people might not watch versus seeing it on a big screen for the first time. So that will be something to see how they handle if they even want to call them villains, right? The anti-hero route that we got with John Walker and what's supposed to have been the Flag Smash. So it'll be interesting to see how they do.
See, I think Mephisto is better to introduce in Disney Plus because the whole thing with he's the devil, and they won't be able to do that in the movies because of they're beholden by the Chinese box office. And if they have a devil-like character, the Chinese audience wouldn't accept it.
Even if Mephisto even comes up in the MCU at all, right?
If he even comes up, but because there's also rumors that he's showing up in Loki, Mephisto, but like they don't have to worry about that with Disney Plus because I don't think Disney Plus is in China, so
not yet.
It's the same. It's part of the same reason why I have no faith in Marvel with regards to queer representation in the movies, because if they put that in China, like China's not going to accept that. Even the little 2-second blink if you miss it lesbian kiss that they had in Star Wars, China edited that out. So I have like for the movies, I have no faith. So I'm at least hoping that since they're beholden,
Disney Plus, and also Hulu too. They have the rights of Hulu, and maybe some more content can go on that platform if they're scared of their the response of things. But as far as just to answer on the question, overall, you guys said it perfectly. I thought the finale was a mixture of the second half to me was the strongest part versus the first half. As far as the series go, I enjoyed it. I loved a lot of stuff we got with Sam, and just like, with Wanda, I have more appreciation for Bucky, for Sam, and I thought that they did a good job when they focused on those characters. All the other stuff around, unfortunately, kind of dropped the ball. And then as far as to a season 2, someone mentioned it. I mean, maybe Torres gets his wings in a season 2. Bucky has another storyline. There's maybe something to do there, but I think that, like Michael said, that the film is going to really kind of pick up the torch from there. And I don't think we'll get a season 2. We'll still get maybe continuations of their story in other series, but not necessarily a season 2. And then my personal preference, WandaVision to me probably did a better through line because we talked about the inconsistencies and Sam and Bucky and kind of forgetting about some of the characters. Wanda literally had her whole arc was given in WandaVision from the beginning to the end. We saw her grieving process. So I thought they handled the characters better. But I think the show, the grand level of Falcon Winter Soldier, the movie, and not saying that WandaVision didn't look like a movie, but I thought that the production value for Falcon Winter Soldier, it looked like a movie. 6 episodes, 6 weeks in a row. The action was done pretty well. So preference, my favorite film outside of Avengers Endgame, Infinity War is Winter Soldier, so I'm cut from that cloth. So I'm going to go preference for me. Not one's better than the other, but I prefer Falcon and Winter Soldier just slightly more than WandaVision. And Loki's right around the corner, and Black Widow and Hawkeye, and so many more things to look forward to in the future, guys. So there you have it. 3 almost Zack Snyder territory here.
I was literally just thinking that. 4 hours. We're almost as long as the Snyder cut.
Almost there. And that, again, just going back to the conversation we had, that just shows you that we are having such a good time with these shows that we can talk about it for 4 hours at a time. Amanda's going to have it talking about it later tonight on other platforms and having the conversations more on other channels. So that just kind of shows you that we appreciate these things. There's some highs and some lows, but at the end of the day, when I was a kid, there was no way Falcon Winter Soldier was on TV or WandaVision or Thanos and all these characters. It was just like we get one comic book movie every 4 years. So we're kind of spoiled at this point, but it's great to be able to talk about these things with some amazing people. And I told Chris this earlier. Same goes with you, Amanda. I am just more than honored and happy to have you as a co-host, and can't wait to collab more with you in the future, as well as Michael being on the channel multiple times. Man, I love your takes. I love your personality. I love what you have to say in the conversation you bring to the table. And the same thing for you, Kolby. The energy, man, the positive energy, the thoughts, the insights is phenomenal. And I can't neglect all the other guests that we had on the channel with this show. With of course, Michael was on episode 1. We had Brandon, we had Tessa, we had of course Griffin, Zach, Austin, Paul, and of course Christine, and our boy Chris that we had on here as well. So thank you guys for joining the conversation every single week. Everyone in the chat, it's been an absolute pleasure. And we're going to take a break. We got Marvel. I'm not fatigued because I love Marvel, but we're going to take a break for the next month or so. We got some other stuff. Michael B. Jordan's got a movie coming out next week. Star Wars is coming back. So we got some stuff to look forward to in the coming weeks before we get low key. But Amanda, outro wise, again, thank you so much for being an amazing co-host. But if you want to let the people know where you're going to be next, I know you're on a stream tonight. And of course, you got more content on your channel. So if you want to let people know where they can find you.
Sure. It has been an honor, Elliot. I'm so blessed that I am one of your co-hosts, and to talk every single Saturday with WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier has been an honor. Literally, what Michael said, you are the Nick Fury of YouTube. I have enjoyed every single discussion with all of these panelists and getting to know everybody. It's just been so amazing, and I've learned so much, and I love these discussions. So thank you, Elliot, for all of this. It's been amazing, and we're going to do it in the future, hopefully, with Loki. So I'm excited. But yeah, you guys can find me over at AMXND Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. You can check me out on YouTube at Candid Cinema. My episode 6 review will be up soon, and you can check out my website, candidxcinema.com. I have some Oscar stuff that I will be doing. So yeah.
And then, like this comment said, Amanda does great on everything that she touches. So couldn't agree with that more. And again, Amanda, we'll be collabing definitely more in the future, because I'm a big fan of you. You're awesome. So Michael, my man, Black Gay Comic Geek, my man. Again, Michael, I love that we were able. I don't even remember. I think you said we met during Griffin. I'm so glad that we kind of found each other in that outlet, man, because I'm such a fan of yours, man. And so glad you're able to join. Can't wait to see you beat TikTok and get all your videos out there, man, because you got some great things to offer, man. But Michael, man, we'll let the people know what's next on your channel and where they can find you, man.
All right. I had to turn my lights off in the back because I was like, "Ooh, we've been going for 4 hours. I can't afford all these batteries because each light is like 3 battery power, three set of batteries each." So I was like, "Ooh, good Lord!" But yeah, guys, as you can see from the title, I'm Black, I'm gay, and I like comics. That's my name. That's where you can find me anywhere on the interwebs. And mostly you can find me on YouTube. And on my channel, like I say, I always say, and the things I love in my fantasy are blood, sex, gore, and magic. So if it has those things, even maybe not all, but just a combination of those things, I'm going to talk about it. And even though the Marvel shows are kind of taking a break, because I'm like, I don't really know what I'm going to be doing next, but I do know that next week is also the season finale of Invincible. So I will be going live on my channel Friday at 7 p.m. to talk the season finale of Invincible. Other than that, I'm like, I don't know what else that I'm doing next, but be on the lookout on my YouTube channel. And then also check me out on TikTok. If TikTok stop fucking with me, because every single time I post a video, it gets flagged. And all I'm talking about is comics. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on. But if you want, I call my apartment and my YouTube channel and everything that I do, I call it my safe haven because it is an inclusive space. So yeah, come on over to my safe haven and check me out. So Elliot, again, I appreciate you having me on. I always love coming on the stream. Amanda Fisto, I love coming on, talking to you all the time. Kolby, it was nice meeting you. I love connecting with you. Your mind, I loved your mind. Like everything that you were saying, we're like right here. And I can't wait to read that Falcon and the Winter Soldier script that you got. And Christine and Griffin, like I mentioned before, like I found you through Griffin. So yeah, if you guys are watching later on, I appreciate you guys and all you guys that are watching the stream. We've been going for almost 4 hours.
So
everybody that watched it the entire 4 hours, or even,
shout out to y'all.
Yeah, shout out to all of y'all. Like that hit the like button, that participated in the conversation. Thank you guys for watching and keeping the stream lively. So I appreciate all of you guys. So
No doubt. And Michael, I think you just hit on it. You've been flagged every single video. Is it
Every video.
Carly Morgenthau? Is she out for you? Is it the flag smasher?
Yeah, it's the flag. It's the flag smashers. Yeah.
I think we saw it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. It's Mephisto.
He's Mephisto. He was there all along. But Kolby, man, again, I love you, man. Again, had you talking DC. Now we talking Marvel, and can't wait to talk about the next thing that we collaborate with, man. I'm so glad you're able to join the panel. So if you want to let the people know where they can find you and possibly when we can find that script for the season 2.
Yeah, man. If you're not following me, you can do so. I'm on all the socials at Kolby Told Me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Clubhouse. When I'm in the mood to write, which hasn't been in a long time, you can check out my website at KolbyToldMe.com. It may not be working, but it will be soon. And the Kolby Told Me podcast will be coming back soon. You know what? I keep saying I'm gonna have a date for like such and such show. I'm gonna do it when I want to. I'm realizing I'm not gonna put no pressure on myself anymore. My mental health means everything to me. So subscribe and just let me a little surprise for you. So that way, when they ask you where you heard it from, you can tell them Kolby told me. Peace.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Again, just the final little comments. Again, time does fly when you're having a great time. So thank you guys again for joining the discussion. Everyone that, super chat, thumbs up, shared, had a great comment. And again, the amazing panel that we had. I thank you guys so much. So there you have it. Falcon and Winter Soldier is in the books. Low key, we're looking for you. Coming up soon. Of course, like Michael said, Invincible. If you guys aren't watching Invincible, you're missing an incredible show.
Especially that last episode.
Oh, man.
Michael, we need to talk. But ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. If you're watching this on the replay, like, share, comment, subscribe to all these amazing content creators. You guys have a great weekend. And you'll see me pretty soon on Movie Files. We got our show on HBO that we're talking about, Mayor of Easttown, tomorrow. Michael B. Jordan movie coming out next week, and of course, Invincible finale. So you guys,
I'm gonna review that.
Remorse. Yeah, I'm gonna probably watch it tonight and see.
I saw that shirtless scene of Michael B. Jordan. I said that is my move. I will check that movie out.
Hey, he's getting prepared for Creed 3, the director and also star in the film. So he's doing big things. But ladies and gentlemen, you guys, thank you so much. Take care, and we'll see you all on the next video.